It's Tuesday, November 11th. Today, a decades-long designation lost. What health officials are blaming for the outbreaks that lost Canada its measles elimination status. A new round of major government projects. What the Prime Minister is adding to his list, and the one that's already creating a clash. And a day of remembrance. How Canadians are honoring our military members and veterans. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, 6 a.m. on your Tuesday, on your Remembrance Day. Thanks for being with us here in Your Morning Winnipeg. I'm Catherine Dow in the chair today for Rochelle Legacy, joined as always by Terry Gale. We've got a lot on the show to commemorate Remembrance Day. So important that we pause to remember those who have served and those who have paid the ultimate price to our country. Ainsley McPhail is making her way to 17 Wing today. We're going to be speaking with the Royal Canadian Legion about all the ceremonies happening across the province. Plus, we're going to be speaking to a veteran who's created this really neat organization, Terry, that they do blacksmithing as kind of a way for veterans to find a bit of a therapeutic outlet to reconnect once they join civilian life again. So,
interesting.
Yeah, there's so much on the go. And meanwhile, Terry, we're waking up. It was rather pleasant out there as we kicked off the day.
It's warming up. That's the good news that I've got. But it is still going to be a little bit breezy today. So while those winds are moderate at this time, they'll likely be increasing throughout the day today. It's 0 degrees, though, so that's an improvement over those temperatures. And in fact, that is above a seasonal daytime high. A new daytime high would now be -1, so we're already above that, and we'll continue to make some gains. Those winds at the moment are out of the west, 17 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling. The humidity is sitting at 89%. Of course, it is still dark, and we're waiting for that sun to rise. That'll be happening a little after 7:30 this morning. But the cloud cover isn't going to be as heavy as yesterday, and we'll continue to see some clearing throughout the day today. We do have a few extra clouds hanging around across parts of northern Manitoba. Here in the south, while it's on the clearer side right now, right over Winnipeg, we might see a few more clouds kind of building and just kind of hanging around through the morning hours, but then clearing out a little more so into the afternoon. So through central, southern Manitoba, it will be a bit brighter of a day. Across parts of northern Manitoba, a cloudier day with the possibility of some scattered flurries. Now, these winds I mentioned, they will be increasing, at times gusting to about 40 kilometers per hour. So we will certainly notice that breeze with perhaps a bit of a bite to it, but the temperatures are expected to climb a fistful of degrees above the freezing mark, and then even warmer as we're looking to the end of the week. It does still look like we've got some double digits on tap, if only for a day. We're getting improved, validation from Director Kim in my ear. That's very nice. It rarely happens. Anyway, down below the freezing mark as early as Sunday, and next week hovering closer to those seasonal temperatures.
Thanks, Terry. Canada has lost a decades-long designation in the fight against a highly contagious disease. This country no longer has measles elimination status, and health officials are blaming a drop in vaccination rates for the outbreaks. CTV's Jeff Keel reports.
Amy Wood has a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. She says they've had their shots, which includes the one for measles.
Because I believe that it's important for them to stay healthy and to support our local community.
So she's concerned about the current outbreak in Canada and the loss of a decades-long designation.
I do worry about its impact on our younger generation.
Canada has lost its measles elimination status. It held since 1998 because of sustained transmission of the same strain for more than a year.
I'm definitely not surprised. It's concerning. It's worrisome. It's a reputational disaster, to be honest.
In Manitoba, there were 18 confirmed cases of measles over the past 25 years. This year alone, 247 confirmed and 16 probable, including 16 severe outcomes where people were hospitalized. 13 of those were children under 10. Dr. Brent Roosen, Manitoba's chief provincial public health officer, says measles is highly infectious, and while most people recover, there can be complications.
We can see common complications such as ear infections, pneumonia, and pneumonia can be quite severe, and we can see severe neurologic complications from this and even death.
Experts blame the outbreak on a drop in vaccination rates due to access issues during the pandemic, vaccine hesitancy, and misinformation.
Definitely the pandemic played a role. A lot of anti-vax sentiment became much more forefront and discussed and wasn't supported by evidence.
Dr. Roussin says transmission is occurring mainly in pockets where vaccine uptake is low, in particular the Southern Health region.
We do a lot of messaging with measles, especially in the areas that we're concerned about, but we routinely are messaging about areas where there might have been an exposure.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And Dr. Roussin says the monthly measles numbers appear to be trending down in Manitoba. The majority of cases in this province this year, nearly 87%, are people who were not immunized. The federal government has announced its plan for the Buy Canadian policy for businesses affected by the ongoing trade war. Jobs and Families Minister Patty Hajdu sat down with CTV's Vasi Kapelos to discuss U.S. tariffs, federal budget measures, and Prime Minister Mark Carney's Buy Canadian strategy.
I think the intent of the strategy is to help companies that are, providing, whether it's products or services, to have a competitive edge when it comes to federal procurements.
The policy includes plans to offer more loan flexibility for businesses impacted by tariffs and the launch of a $5 billion strategic response fund to help businesses adapt to the new economic landscape. Governor General Mary Simon will not be attending the National Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa this morning. She's recovering in hospital from a respiratory virus. Rideau Hall did not specify on the type of illness or say how long she's been in the hospital, saying only that she was recovering and, quote, doing well. Chief Justice Richard Wagner will fill in for the Governor General at the National War Memorial. Coverage of the National Remembrance Day ceremony will begin at 9 a.m. Manitoba time here on CTV. And here in Manitoba, there are several ceremonies and events to mark the day. In Winnipeg, the Anavets Unit 283 Assiniboia is holding a Remembrance Day ceremony at 3584 Portage Avenue. Doors open at 9:30. The event at Minto Armory on St. Matthews start at 10:30. Attendees are asked to dress for the weather. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles will mark the day at Vimy Ridge Park starting at 10:30. And the biggest ceremony is at RBC Convention Centre beginning at 10:40. Several other Legion branches in Winnipeg are also holding ceremonies. And around the province, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 65 in Portage-La Prairie is holding a ceremony at 11 at Strood Place. Brandon's Keystone Center's events start at 10:40. And you can find more information on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Monday marked 50 years since the storied sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald on Lake Superior, which inspired one of Gordon Lightfoot's most popular songs.
And every man knew as the captain did, 'twas the witch of November come sailing.
The massive cargo ship and all 29 of its crew perished during a surprise severe storm. Powerful waves and gale force winds battered the vessel and knocked out its radar before it was dragged to the bottom of the lake, carrying thousands of kilograms of taconite pellets. That was on November 10th, 1975. And Lightfoot passed away in 2023, but once spoke with Lloyd Robertson about where he found the inspiration for the song.
I'm really interested in current events. I like to follow current events, and it's not really a tough thing to do these days because there's a lot of really interesting things happening in the world.
How long did it take to write Edmund Fitzgerald then?
About a week. I stayed up all night rewriting it.
There's a lesson from the ship on down of the big lake they call Gitchigumi.
And on Sunday, a historic church in Detroit where the ship was destined, a replica bell rang 29 times for the lives lost on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The city is getting ready to revitalize Alexander Docks. It just issued a request for proposals for someone to oversee the partial demolition of the docks in South Point Douglas. The successful candidate will also be responsible for overseeing the site as it's prepared for the overall redevelopment. Earlier this year, the Forks unveiled the new design for the area, complete with green space, seating, improved lighting, and a new dock. The city spokesperson says it's still in the planning phase and will have a better idea of the project timelines once the contract is awarded. The RFP closes December 1st. Turning now to the football field for one last Winnipeg High School game. The Quad A Gustafson Bowl got underway Monday night between the Elmwood Giants and West Kildonan Wolverines. Elmwood won 35-6. For those looking to extend the high school football season, the league is hosting its second annual Combine December 7th at the University of Winnipeg. Our first check-in on traffic takes us to Confusion Corner. Pretty quiet as is expected through much of the city today, as many folks aren't working for Remembrance Day. A reminder though, if you have any traffic tips to share, you can always text them to us at 10400. And today is Remembrance Day. Veterans around the world remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. They also have a simple message for the rest of us.
Just never forget.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was 19 years old when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942. He lives at a facility in Winnipeg now, along with 101-year-old Andrew Prodanuk. Mr. Prodanuk was also 19 when he joined the war in 1943. 1 million Canadians served in the Second World War. Only a small number of veterans from that war are still alive today. The men say their one hope is that their memories will never be forgotten. Checking in with Terry Gale up on the rooftop. Looking pleasant out there, Terry, to kick off our Tuesday.
Yeah, it's not feeling too bad at all. We will perhaps, though, notice those winds increasing throughout the day, and that's probably going to be the most unpleasant of the conditions, because aside from the winds, we're actually in for well above seasonal temperatures and even a little bit of sunshine, especially later on into the day. Right now it's 0 degrees and the sun isn't even up yet, and it won't be until after 7:30. And those winds at this time, at least, are just 17 clicks out of the west-southwest. The pressure is rising, humidity sitting at 89%. Now, we're on the clearer side right now, but we might notice a few more clouds building just through the morning hours and then clearing into the afternoon. And that's when I say we'll see that increasing sun. Fairly clear conditions are then expected across central and even southern Manitoba. It's farther into the north, especially on the northeastern side, where the heavier clouds will linger, and there's a good chance of seeing some precipitation in flurry form. There will be some scattered snow moving across parts of northern Manitoba today. Here in the south, I mentioned these increasing temperatures. Well, 0 degrees is already above seasonal, with -1 being a normal daytime high, but instead we're going to be sending ourselves, or Mother Nature, pardon me, will be sending us up fistful of degrees above the freezing mark. So plus digits all throughout this week, even hitting double digits by Friday. Taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful, helping your home get holiday ready with blinds from Hunter Douglas.
The chief of a First Nation in western Manitoba is charged in connection with a historical sexual assault investigation. RCMP began investigating in May after receiving a report of an alleged sexual assault from 1984. The alleged female victim says she was younger than 16 years old at the time. Mounties are not releasing her name or the community where the alleged assault happened to protect her privacy. As a result of the investigation, RCMP says 65-year-old Vincent Takin was arrested and charged last Wednesday. Takin is currently seeking re-election as chief of Sioux Valley Dakota Nation, located west of Brandon. And these allegations have not yet been tested in court. And Monday night, Takin posted a statement to the First Nations official website in response to the allegation, saying he is in shock. The statement says in part, quote, "I will defend myself in court. I will ensure my name is cleared. I hope to see my name cleared as your chief and legal representative." His statement has since been taken down. The Prime Minister revealed Monday that the next round of projects that will receive government fast-tracking will be announced later this week. But already attention has turned to one project that's creating a major clash between Canada's two westernmost provinces, and whether that one makes the cut. CTV's Mike Lecouture explains.
The next round of major projects is going to be announced later this week. On Thursday.
So we know when, but we don't know what will be announced in the second phase of the so-called nation-building projects. New Brunswick was left off the first list in September, but Premier Susan Holt is hopeful that won't happen this time.
We've been working hard on a number of projects, and the announcement won't be the Interties. It will be one of the other projects that we've been pushing for.
The first round of projects to have federal support included LNG expansion in BC, a small modular reactor project project in Ontario, expanded port facilities in Montreal, and 2 mines in Western Canada. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith wants a pipeline to Tidewater to be on this next list. On her radio show this weekend, she said she's talking with the federal government.
We've been going back and forth now daily on a memorandum of understanding, and I hope that we're able to iron out some of the differences that we have in time for Grey Cup or shortly after.
In a statement to CTV News, Smith said those discussions include working towards the ultimate approval of the Alberta to BC bitumen pipeline. Now, while BC's premier is opposed to it, Prime Minister Carney hasn't ruled it out.
We're on the pipeline stuff. Danielle's on line 1. Don't worry, it's going to happen. But, well, something's going to happen. Let's put it that way.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce applauds the Major Projects Office, but says it doesn't solve the bigger problem of getting things built in this country.
There are 350,000 federal regulations that businesses need to comply with. We are creating more rules around investment than we're creating investment.
The Prime Minister's announcement will be in Prince Rupert, BC, perhaps an indication that province will see the approval of another major project.
Canada Post has submitted its plan to Ottawa to transform its struggling business into what it is hoping will be a financially sustainable postal service. Canada Post had 45 days to deliver a plan. It says it will share details after Ottawa signs off. Canada Post CEO says it will modernize the post office while protecting the service. This comes as the Crown Corporation continues collective bargaining talks with its largest union. Postal workers are still on rotating strikes ahead of the holiday season. More people are now eligible to use Manitoba's Veterans License Plate, including former RCMP and peace officers. Manitoba Public Insurance, along with the province and the Royal Canadian Legion, have expanded the eligibility criteria for the special plates. To get the Veteran License Plate in the past, you had to have 3 years of honorable service with the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, former members of the military, RCMP, peace officers in special duty areas, and wartime service in the Merchant Navy or Ferry Command can get one. Those who finished basic training with the Armed Forces and were honorably discharged can also get the plate. The special license plate is free for eligible recipients. The city's newest Costco is getting ready to open its doors. The bulk retailer is holding a ribbon-cutting ceremony Thursday morning for the new location on Portage Avenue West near Assiniboia Downs. Expected to make an appearance are both the Premier and Mayor. The Costco on St. James Street is closing temporarily starting Wednesday at 6 p.m. A Costco Business Center is planned to take its place sometime in the new year. Get your goggles ready. A Windsor Park pool is set to reopen after being closed for a year and a half. Renovations at Bonnie Vital Pool are wrapping up. Visitors can expect to see the addition of new universal change rooms and an accessible sauna, and a multi-purpose room. Upgrades to the lobby and mechanical systems were also part of the $6.7 million project. The reopening date is November 17th. Some road closures to remind you about this morning. Empress Street is closed between Saskatchewan and Wellington. At 8, the westbound curb lane on Portage will close for the morning from King Edward to Brooklyn. And following the rush, the median lanes on Main Street will be closed between Portage and Pioneer. If you have any traffic tips or updates to share, you can text them to us at 10400.
Traffic is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
And a look outside now through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts from more than 40 years. Honestly, I think that's more cars than we usually see on this day. I swear we've been doing this show for 15 years and the streets are usually empty. So seeing 4 cars out there this morning was a lot more than I anticipated. Anyway, as far as the conditions go today, it's warmer than yesterday. It's clearer than yesterday without that snow or that fog, but we are still going to deal with those winds. Our temperatures themselves are right now at the freezing mark here in Winnipeg and in Gimli, over in Brandon as well. And then if you're not at the freezing mark, you're into the plus digits, at least throughout Manitoba. You can see over in Kenora, it's just a little bit cooler. -1 is what you're waking up to this morning. And I say plus digits through Manitoba, but I'm talking central and southern Manitoba. Pushing up into the northeast, you can see there's temperatures just below freezing, but only by degree or 3, -3 right now in Churchill. But even Lynn Lake is coming in at +2 this morning, so well above what you would expect for this time of year for morning temperatures, certainly. Heavier clouds across the north, clearer conditions here in the south, although we might still see a few more clouds lingering through the morning hours and then clearing later on into the day. As far as the temperatures on the rise, we'll probably get up to about 5 degrees. That'll happen into the afternoon, so 1 degree around 8 a.m. Noontime temperatures 4 degrees, and then 4 again by 5. The sun will have set by then. The clearer conditions, though, will continue to carry us into the weekend. Oh, here's a look at the 7-day forecast. So into the weekend, we're looking to be well above seasonal with those double digits finishing off the work week itself. Saturday, still quite mild, although those temperatures will be falling off for Sunday and settling to more seasonal values as we continue through next week. What a stunning sunrise. This was just yesterday morning in the Norway House area. Thanks to Beverly for the photo, and keep them coming to Winnipeg weather at ctv.ca. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025. This morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
On this Remembrance Day, families around the world are gathering to pay respects to relatives who served in the Canadian military. As CTV's Craig Krause found out, one family who has arrived in Vancouver is looking to honor their grandfather's memory by reuniting him with his fellow soldiers.
Through the hustle and bustle of downtown Vancouver, a row of banners honoring Canadian veterans are placed atop the light poles.
And there's great-grandpa Shishido.
The image of Private Masajiro Shishido, the great-grandfather of Justin Ault, is displayed outside of Hotel Vancouver, a man who served his new country in the First World War.
Part duty, part it was a way to show other Canadians at a time of a lot of racism and discrimination that, hey, we're part of this country also.
And he wasn't alone.
The 10th Battalion numbered around 50 individuals from different parts of British Columbia.
A group documented by local historian Debbie Zhang, who has been working to keep their memory alive.
When the soldiers reached France, of course, they were split up into areas where they were needed.
Zhang says they quickly proved themselves, even though there were doubts with their lack of English.
Many of whom had served in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 and 5. These were hardened veterans who knew what battle was.
Information collected after countless hours of digging, the effort making its way to Southern California.
A friend of mine said, hey, you know, this lady is giving a call out for photos of World War I veterans in uniform. And I said, I don't have a photo in uniform, and I'm looking for a photo of Grandpa in uniform.
But Zhang had what Catherine Uchida was looking for. So you've never seen this picture before?
No, no.
Uchida and her family arriving in Vancouver from Los Angeles.
He's right on the corner, right next to the old Hudson Bay building.
Walking together along West Georgia as their grandfather's image is among the hundreds of soldiers being honored.
You wonder how many people, you know, actually look up and look and read and see all that. But who would have thought that?
The story doesn't end there. Uchida is not only here to take part in Remembrance Day, but has uncovered a family secret.
Right now, his ashes are at the Buddhist temple in Vancouver, and it's been sitting there since 1953.
Leaving Uchida looking to bury his ashes in a military cemetery where he can be laid to rest with his fellow Canadian soldiers.
I need to make this right. I'm on a quest.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
Your Morning Winnipeg. Coffee is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
degrees. Waking up to that is already putting us above seasonal. You can see the camera shaking a little bit, though. Those winds will be on the stronger side today. At the moment, they're out of the west-southwest, 17 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 89%. So yeah, -1 is a normal daytime high. We're at the freezing mark already, and we'll continue to make some gains through the day with fairly clear conditions to kick us off, although we might see a few more clouds developing over the course of the morning and then clearing out again later on into the day. For northern Manitoba, those clouds will be sticking around and perhaps bringing some flurries. They're actually in this diagonal band, and you can see them once they're further into the southern stretch, moving into parts of northwestern Ontario, but that'll be more of a northern Manitoba event today, not necessarily here in the south. As I mentioned, we might see a few clouds over the course of the morning, but then clearing into the afternoon and heading to a high of 5, well above the seasonal daytime high of -1. But yes, those winds out of the northwest at times could be gusting to 50 kilometers per hour throughout the day today. So just be prepared for a bit of a breeze, and it might have a bit of a bite to it. Down to the freezing mark overnight. Again, this is keeping us well above normal. Still with those stronger winds out of the northwest at about 40 kilometers per hour, but a lot more sunshine expected for tomorrow and slightly more moderate winds. Even warmer temperatures up to 6 degrees and remaining well above seasonal throughout the rest of this week, even possibly hitting double digits by the time Friday rolls around. Now for the weekend, temperatures do start to slide a little bit, but still quite mild for Saturday. Sunday, we're back below the freezing mark and lingering with those more seasonal temperatures into next week.
Thanks, Terry. The rapid spread of measles in Canada over the past year can be traced to a single case. CTV's Heather Wright has more on how we got here and the road ahead.
Public health officials say Canada's measles outbreak began on October 27, 2024, when an international traveler attended a wedding in New Brunswick. Guests at that wedding then went home to southwestern Ontario, where an outbreak began among the close-knit Mennonite community. The virus then began to spread throughout the country, mainly among the unvaccinated.
The dominant emotion I have is sadness.
James Talbot is a former chief medical officer of health in Alberta and worked on eliminating measles in the 1990s. He says the tools to rein in the spread of the virus are there, but aren't being used in every part of the country.
If we really want to respond properly to this loss of the elimination status, we need to strengthen public health across the country, but in particular in Ontario and Alberta.
Alberta and Ontario have struggled to control the spread of the virus. Combined, they represent 84% of all cases. Ontario's outbreak was declared over last month, while Alberta most recently reported 2 cases. Increasing vaccination rates, strengthening public health measures like contact tracing, and creating a national vaccine database are among some of the recommendations for Canadian officials. But during a time of political polarization, vaccine hesitancy, and vaccine misinformation, experts say it could be a long road.
I think we have a tolerant approach to people who have very good reasons for not getting vaccinated. And if that approach is maintained, then we will have vulnerable geographies in the country. And that's something we're going to have to live with.
Canada can regain its measles elimination status once transmission of the virus has stopped for at least 12 months. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Manitoba researchers are giving people a glimpse into the future of farming, self-driving robots. Take a look. This is a prototype of a self-driving farm robot designed by Jay Wang and his team at the University of Manitoba's Robot Autonomy Lab. It's designed to think on its feet, or wheels in this case. Using artificial intelligence, the robot is able to handle the bumps, ruts, and surprises of real prairie fields, including fields which are now frozen.
The soil is almost frozen, and we have the ice and snow on top of that. We have more slippery, but our AI model learn about the dynamics when it moves. So it's just keep the similar accuracy.
And more testing is still required in order to fine-tune it for future use. But local researchers hope one day it will make farming more efficient, precise, and ultimately safer. Even as the U.S. government shutdown is close to ending, it will take longer for air travel to get back to normal.
We usually go away on the holidays. I think we're going to take this one off.
I don't think I see myself flying anytime soon.
The FAA is still ramping up flight cancellations this week. Flight reductions will hit 6% today, going up to 10% by Friday. The transportation secretary says even when the government reopens, he wants to see airport staffing numbers go up before cancellations are lifted.
Always a concern when you hear the potential that your flight can be delayed. Makes you anxious, not knowing if you're going to get to your destination.
Travelers here in Canada are being told to plan ahead and check their flight status before getting on a plane to the U.S. More than 8,000 flights have been canceled in the U.S. since Friday. The city wants to hear your thoughts on what Winnipeg's newest library should look like. From now until December 3rd, you can weigh in on the new Mike O'Shaughnessy library theme, design, and potential art installations. You can pick between 3 potential themes: technology, gardens, and seasons. The new library inside Garden City Shopping Centre is expected to open late next year. You can give your thoughts on the city's website or visit the mall to meet with planners on November 26 between 4 and 7 p.m. A new study is adding to the body of evidence that drinking too much alcohol could put you at a higher risk of brain issues. According to a new study published in the journal Neurology, heavy alcohol use was associated with more severe brain bleeds or bleeding strokes and earlier long-term brain damage. Heavy alcohol use was defined as regularly consuming 3 or more drinks per day. People in that cohort also had brain bleeds, on average 11 years younger than those who drank less alcohol. In case you didn't know, there is a world record for the longest salami sausage, yes, and it's gone to an Argentinian city again. Many people came out to celebrate the 400-meter-long salami. That was the city of Tandil, which broke its own record from last year by 86 meters. This one extends almost half a kilometer long and weighs 1,500 kilograms. Taking a check-in on traffic, very quiet along Portage Avenue at Polo Park. Of course, many folks not working today for Remembrance Day, so we expect traffic volumes to stay relatively light. But we do have some gas prices to take a look at now. The Canadian average stands at $1.34. The provincial average slightly lower at $1.31. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30, and the lowest price in the city is $1.19. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today.
CTV's Ainsley McPhail is headed down to 17 Wing this morning. More details just ahead at 6:42.
Weather is brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
All right, the sun won't be up till just after 7:30 this morning, but it's clear enough right now that I can already start to see a slightly brighter sky off to the east where that sun will eventually be rising. It's 0 degrees right now, so not only is it starting to look a little bit brighter, it's also considerably warmer than yesterday and way less windy, although that may change. Those winds could still increase. At the moment, though, there's 17 clicks out of the west-southwest. Pressure rising, and as far as the conditions go today, yes, the temperatures will also be on the rise. We're already above a seasonal daytime high of -1. Instead, pushing a fistful of degrees up into the plus digits, well above what you would expect this time of year, with those temperatures only continuing to warm up throughout the week. We will see a fair bit of sunshine here across southern Manitoba. For northern Manitoba, though, some heavier clouds, and you're likely to deal with some scattered flurries. Checking in on location, Ainsley McPhail is out and about. Let's see where and what's going on. Hey, Ainsley.
Good morning, Terry. Remembrance Day, of course, and we're at 17 Wing all morning long. What a privilege it is to walk into this building. Major Mary Gordon joins us now to tell us all about why we remember. Now, Mary, I know you do tons of education, but simply put, why is it so important to honor this day?
Well, it's been 80 years since the end of World War II, and as the pool of veterans is getting smaller and smaller, it's more important every day to be able to remember their stories and to pass that on to the next generations.
And when you talk about the next generations, you're speaking regularly to kids. So let's talk about what some of the questions they might even have.
Well, it's interesting when you go and talk to the children, because their minds are so open and they're so amazed, and they ask questions like, do I fly planes? Do I drive tanks? You know, do I get to, am I at war all the time? And it gives me an opportunity to educate them about all of the different things that the military does, not just flying planes and driving tanks. I'm a logistics officer, so I help give them all the equipment and all of the things that they need in order to be successful in their jobs, and it gives them a huge amount of satisfaction for me. And I really enjoy talking to the kids because I have that opportunity to educate them on what we do in the military.
And heck, I feel like a lot of us, even as adults, won't even admit how much we don't know. And sometimes that's okay. But when it comes to honoring and a day like today, why is it so important to sit back and recognize?
Well, we live in a safe and democratic society here in Canada, which we're very blessed for, and that's not necessarily the case everywhere else. So our members work with allies and partners to help bring peace and democracy to other countries, and that's really, really important for us here to know, and our children to know, and to carry into the next generations, and be proud of what our military members have done.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. It's such an honor to be able to chat with folks like Mary. Stay with us throughout the morning. We're at 17 Wing.
Looking at the early markets, the Dow Jones is largely flat overnight. The Nasdaq is trading lower, as is the S&P index. The loonie falling to 71.30 cents U.S. The Hang Seng adding 47 points, and the Nikkei is down 68 points. Welcome back. More than 1 million Canadians served in the Second World War, and today only a few thousand remain. CTV's Alex Karpa spoke to some of them about what they want Canadians to know on the eve of Remembrance Day.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was just 19 when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942.
I don't know why, but I enjoyed my time in the Air Force.
He was an aircraft mechanic during the war stationed in England, where he worked on Liberator bombers. Rosamond recalls his brother, who was an air gunner during the war, left England the same day he arrived.
I thought that was quite a novel thing to have happen.
101-year-old Andrew Prodanek was also 19 when he joined the war effort in 1943.
I tried to get into be a pilot, but all the positions were filled because this was near the end of the war, and so I took on navigation.
Prodanek trained in Brandon, Regina, Saskatoon, and ended up in Rivers, Manitoba. By the time his training was complete, the war was over. He says he has fond memories of his time in active duty.
It was very interesting work.
With Remembrance Day, Prodanek and Rosamond will both remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. And with that, Rosamond is sharing a simple message.
Just never forget.
Both men live at this facility here in Winnipeg and are part of a dwindling number of Second World War veterans in Canada, a conflict where more than 1 million Canadians served. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And to mark Remembrance Day 2025, several ceremonies and events are taking place around the province. In Winnipeg, the Anavets Unit 283 Assiniboia is holding a Remembrance Day ceremony at 3584 Portage Avenue. Doors open at 9:30. The event at Minto Armory on St. Matthews starts at 10:30. Attendees are asked to dress for the weather. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles will mark the day at Vimy Ridge Park starting at 10:30. The biggest ceremony is at RBC Convention Centre beginning at 10:40. Several other Legion branches in Winnipeg are also holding ceremonies. Around the province, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 65 in Portage La Prairie is holding a ceremony at 11 at Strood Place. Brandon's Keystone Center's events start at 10:40, and you can find more information on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Monday marked the 50th anniversary of the tragic sinking of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald on the Great Lakes in Canadian waters, killing all 29 men on board.
The 29 men, there's a face behind those men. And behind those men, that's me. That's family members. That's people that still are here, and we love them.
The Fitzgerald was headed from Wisconsin to Detroit in 1975, carrying 26,000 tons of taconite pellets when it was hit by a brutal storm. It's the largest ship to ever sink in the Great Lakes. The vessel remains at the bottom of Lake Superior. No bodies have ever been recovered. Heart disease is the #1 killer of adults worldwide, and now scientists may have found a way to lower the risk. Researchers were able to turn off a specific gene in patients' liver and found it reduced the amount of low-density lipoprotein, or the bad cholesterol, in their bodies by half. They also found an average 55% reduction in triglycerides, a different type of fat in the blood, which is linked to a higher risk of cardiovascular disease. Researchers hope the method could one day be used as a one-and-done procedure for those with hard-to-control cholesterol. Some road closures to remind you about this morning. Empress Street is closed between Saskatchewan and Wellington at 8. The westbound curb lane on Portage will close for the morning from King Edward to Brooklyn. And following the rush, the median lanes on Main Street will be closed between Portage and Pioneer. Meanwhile, if you have any traffic tips or updates to share, text them to us at 10400.
Yeah, not sure how much of a rush we're going to be seeing today, as a lot of folks will have the morning off at least. Things might get a little more active out on the streets into the afternoon, but also into the afternoon, increasing sunshine and warmth. From 0 degrees, we're going to see that temperature on the rise today. And in fact, 0 where we're sitting right now is already above seasonal. We got winds this morning. You see the camera shaking. There's 17 clicks out of the west-southwest, the pressure rising, and the humidity sitting at 89%. Clearing conditions I mentioned for southern Manitoba, but not necessarily the case across the north. Heavier clouds, and with those clouds, very good chance that you could be seeing a little bit of scattered snow as well, or maybe some mixed precipitation, because these temperatures, even right up into northern Manitoba, will be well above what you would expect from the freezing mark, or even into the plus digits. Sure, there's that possibility of precipitation in the far northeast, but for folks in the northwest, you might even see a little bit of sunshine or some clearing as the day goes on. And yeah, these temperatures are well above what you would normally be sitting at, staying below the freezing mark with daytime highs all across the province now, including southern Manitoba, where -1 would be a normal high temperature. But instead, we're looking to be a fistful or more above that as far as the temperatures go. And yes, enjoying a little bit of sunshine. Of course, it's not even rising till after 7:30, but then we will be seeing a fair bit of that. However, further to the east, you can see there will likely be some heavier clouds. Still some pretty mild temperatures, but more than clouds, you might even, in parts of northwestern Ontario, see a little bit of that mixed precipitation rolling through. It stays very mild throughout the rest of this week, getting as high as double digits as we're wrapping up the week on Friday, with some sunshine to enjoy, but some slightly heavier clouds Friday. And then we will see those temperatures falling off throughout the weekend as we're getting back to more seasonal values looking ahead to next week.
Thanks, Terry. The Royal Canadian Legion has served as a cornerstone for local communities. And although many branches have struggled to stay open, some have seen a sudden revival. CTV's Andrew Johnson has more on what's behind the success of a BC branch.
G59, we have a bingo call.
It's a packed house for bingo night at the Maple Ridge Legion. Do people get into it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They start screaming the numbers out.
The dozens with dabbers pouring over bingo cards are some of the more than 2,600 members of the largest and most successful Legion in the country.
It's an amazing place. I've always felt very comfortable and very safe in here to come in all by myself. Have a glass of wine on a dinner or meet with friends.
Struggling. Bingo night, karaoke, dances, and the classic meat draw bring people in, but there's more to this Legion than entertainment.
In addition to fundraising and support for veterans and their families, the Maple Ridge Legion operates 2 housing developments built on partially donated land decades ago. It provides hundreds of homes for veterans and seniors at much less than market value. The branch boasts assets in the range of $50 million.
We had some great executive members who were forward-thinking.
Very good groundwork to begin with. When I got there over 30 years ago, there was people in place that knew what they were doing.
They credit business smarts and huge community support with helping this branch weather the post-pandemic struggles that have led to some closures across the country. Membership in BC overall is now growing, and the Legion says that's also happening Canada-wide as branches diversify.
Some innovative models are starting to pop up around the country. So you have that model where you have
help available at a branch. You might also have some support services in-house.
In Maple Ridge, members are incredibly grateful for the place they count on.
Where do you go? You can't just go to a bar. You know, where do you meet people? Well, you come to the Legion.
They hope for many years to come. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Maple Ridge, BC.
A small community east of Ottawa has put together a big display to remember those who gave their lives for Canada. A 7-meter-tall wreath made of over 1,000 crocheted poppies is on display at the Martintown Mill. CTV's Dylan Dyson has more.
For retired combat engineer Gerald Dogood, a Remembrance Day display such as this is special.
My wife and I drove by here on Sunday, and I was very emotional. I still have today when I think about that. Because Remembrance Day week is very emotional for me. I think of the people I know that have passed away.
In the small community of Martintown, on the 180-year-old mill hangs a 25-foot tall wreath.
When I feel that, everyone that represents those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and they are remembered.
The wreath is made from 1,500 poppies crocheted and constructed by residents of the Martintown community.
About 30 people crocheted poppies, so 30 people as far away as Alberta who have connections to the area mailed poppies to us.
Really, it's for the community. I wanted something for the community to stand out. And we have the old mill, and that was the best thing to show it off.
The history of military service in Martintown runs deep. It was just 5 years ago that Dogood helped build the community's first cenotaph.
The names on the cenotaph here are the 26 from Martintown who, in fact, gave their lives in the First and the Second World War.
There's a lot of past history of veterans in the area, people serving currently as well. We've had a lot of people reach out to us who currently have children deployed, and they appreciate that this has been put up there for them.
Months worth of effort put into a project to honor lives that were lost.
We're just so thankful to live in Canada. We appreciate the freedom that we have. We want to recognize the people who are aging, who, make sure that we have these rights and freedoms.
The effort, the initiative, and the willingness to do it so that they contribute to the act of remembrance and remembering those that have fallen and give the ultimate sacrifice. What a way to do that, isn't it?
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Martintown.
French President Emmanuel Macron this morning led an Armistice Day ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. President Macron stood before the tomb of the unknown soldier before meeting with some veterans. Armistice Day ceremonies are also happening this morning in Belgium, Poland, and other European countries. Taking a check-in on traffic at Main and Broadway. Few vehicles out there, though it is expected to be a slower commute, or a quicker commute rather, given Remembrance Day. We're going to take a break here, but stay with us. So much more Your Morning Winnipeg still to come. It's Tuesday, November 11th, Today, Canada loses measles status. Health officials sound the alarm as falling vaccination rates trigger new outbreaks across the country. Plus, G7 meets in Niagara. Foreign ministers gather to tackle global security and economic challenges amid shifting world politics. And remembering the Edmund Fitzgerald 50 years later, the bell tolls again for 29 lost lives, and the ship made legendary by Gordon Lightfoot. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, 7 a.m. on your Tuesday, November 11th. Thanks for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg for a special Remembrance Day edition of our broadcast. I'm Catherine Dow in for Rochelle Legacy, joined by Terry Gale. We're doing a lot of Remembrance Day coverage, as fittingly we should, including our own Ainsley McPhail has made her way out to 17 Wing, learning about some of the things they have planned for Remembrance Day. Plus, at 7:52, this is really neat. We have a nonprofit called the Intrepid Society. Did you know that a Winnipeg veteran could be the inspiration of James Bond?
I did not know this. That's cool.
Master spy, inventor. We're going to be learning about his story and how this group keeps his memory alive. Terry, the gusts last night were pretty intense. Oof. How are we doing this morning?
Not even just last night, through the day yesterday. There was a bite, a chill. I was trying to walk home and I was moving at a 45-degree angle into that wind and about 10 minutes slower than it would usually take me. But yes, those winds are still going to be a factor today, but good news, the temperatures will be considerably milder. In fact, we're already above the freezing mark, which is above a seasonal daytime high, -1, a normal high. So we're doing okay right now. That breeze, though, it will be increasing right now, 17 clicks out of the west-southwest, the pressure rising, and the humidity is sitting at 89%. So a windy day, but a much warmer day than it's been, and these temperatures continuing to warm throughout this week. Our conditions are also going to be looking a little bit better as well. Yesterday morning we were waking up to snow, and now clearer conditions all across southern Manitoba, although northern Manitoba still likely waking up to some snow, especially in the northeastern part of the province, and then moving into parts of northwestern Ontario. That's kind of the path that the flurries will be taking today. The clearing will happen right up into parts of the northwest, certainly through central southern Manitoba, but even right up into that northwestern border a little bit as well. I mentioned the above seasonal temperatures. It's not just for today, the rest of the week. I know yesterday was cold and windy and, well, snowy in the morning, but now we're looking at sunnier conditions, warmer temperatures, but still those strong winds. They're going to be at times gusting to 40 clicks throughout the day today. But look through the rest of the week, getting up as high as double digits on Friday before we do start to see those temperatures sliding into the weekend. Our art today is thanks to Harlan, 8 years old. I love your rainy pic here, and we'd love to see all of your art. So please draw, color, or paint and send that picture to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
Thanks, Terry. Canada has lost a decades-long designation in the fight against a highly contagious disease. This country no longer has measles elimination status, and health officials are blaming a drop in vaccination rates for the outbreaks. CTV's Jeff Keel reports.
Amy Wood has a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. She says they've had their shots, which includes the one for measles.
Because I believe that it's important for them to stay healthy and to support our local community.
So she's concerned about the current outbreak in Canada and the loss of a decades-long designation.
I do worry about its impact on our younger generation.
Canada has lost its measles elimination status. It held since 1998 because of sustained transmission of the same strain for more than a year.
I'm definitely not surprised. It's concerning. It's worrisome. It's a reputational disaster, to be honest.
In Manitoba, there were 18 confirmed cases of measles over the past 25 years. This year alone, 247 confirmed and 16 probable, including 16 severe outcomes where people were hospitalized. 13 of those were children under 10. Dr. Brent Rusin, Manitoba's Chief Provincial Public Health Officer, says measles is highly infectious, and while most people recover, there can be complications.
We can see common complications such as ear infections, pneumonia, and the pneumonia can be quite severe, and we can see severe neurologic complications from this and even death.
Experts blame the outbreak on a drop in vaccination rates due to access issues during the pandemic, vaccine hesitancy, and misinformation.
Definitely the pandemic played a role. A lot of anti-vax sentiment became much more forefront and discussed and wasn't supported by evidence.
Dr. Rusin says transmission is occurring mainly in pockets where vaccine uptake is low, in particular the Southern Health region.
We do a lot of messaging with measles, especially in the areas that we're concerned about, but we routinely are messaging about areas where there might have been an exposure.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Dr. Brent Rusin says the monthly measles numbers appear to be trending down in Manitoba. The majority of cases in this province this year, nearly 87%, are people who were not immunized. Canada will welcome G7 ministers to the Niagara region today to talk about economic and security challenges. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand will welcome U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and other foreign ministers from the group of 7 countries today. Minister Anand says Secretary Rubio has been respectful when dealing with G7 ministers and has not repeated U.S. President Donald Trump's calls to make Canada the 51st state. Talk of Canadian sovereignty did cast a shadow over the last G7 meeting in March. But Marco Rubio has said the G7 gathering is not a meeting to talk about Trump's annexation comments. The U.S. Senate, meanwhile, has passed a funding bill that will likely bring an end to the record government shutdown. The bill passed 60-40, with 8 Democrats voting with the Republicans. Democrats were holding out over an extension of health care subsidies that cover millions of people in the U.S. The Democrats didn't get the extension. What they got was a promise from the Republicans to hold a vote on it later.
The American people do not want Democrats to be bullied into submission.
They're going to have to explain themselves to their constituents and to the American people.
The shutdown will likely go on for a few more days. The House has to pass the bill before it can be signed by President Donald Trump. This bill will keep the government funded until the end of January. Governor General Mary Simon will not be attending the National Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa this morning. She is recovering in hospital from a respiratory virus. Rideau Hall did not specify on the type of illness or say how long she has been in hospital, saying only that she was recovering and, quote, doing well. Chief Justice Richard Wagner will fill in for the Governor General at the National War Memorial. Coverage of the National Remembrance Day ceremony will begin at 9 a.m. Manitoba time here on CTV. The city is getting ready to revitalize the Alexander Docks. It just issued a request for proposals for someone to oversee the partial demolition of the docks in South Point Douglas. The successful candidate will also be responsible for overseeing the site as it's prepared for the overall redevelopment. Earlier this year, the Forks unveiled the new design for the area, complete with green spaces, seating, improved lighting, and a new dock. The city spokesperson says it's still in the planning phase and will have a better idea of project timelines once the contract is awarded. The RFP closes December 1st. Taking a look at the current traffic situation around Kenniston Boulevard, pretty quiet and it's expected to stay that way as it is Remembrance Day. Meanwhile, if you do have any traffic tips or updates to share, you can text them to us at 10400.
Weather is brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
SoftBank has sold its entire stake in NVIDIA, pocketing $5.83 billion US to help bankroll envisioned AI investments at a time investors are questioning the sheer amounts of capital chasing a technology with an uncertain future. The NVIDIA stake sale highlights how founder Masayoshi Son needs money to chase projects that range from Stargate data centers to AI robot manufacturing sites in the U.S. Its exit coincides with a growing debate about whether spending by big tech firms from Meta to Alphabet, expected to surpass $1 trillion in coming years, will produce commensurate returns. The price for aluminum delivered to the U.S. hit a record high on Monday as inventories dwindled due to U.S. tariffs. That all-in American price, which includes the global benchmark cash price set on the London Metal Exchange and the so-called U.S. Midwest Premium, climbed to $4,816 a ton in U.S. in the previous session. Many American companies are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens in the U.S.-Canada trade war. Canada supplies 50% of the aluminum used south of the border. And the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, one of the world's largest pension funds, raised about 1.3 billion Canadian from the sale of its stake in the Portuguese energy company EDP. Shares in EDP fell 9.7% last week after it reported lower profit and narrowed its guidance for the full year, and it's trading down today in Europe. Now, the CPP is one of the world's largest pension funds, valued at more than $700 billion. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
We go now to CTV's Ainsley McPhail at 17 Wing. There's so much being done, obviously, to celebrate Remembrance Day, Ainsley, and to hear about all the work they do down there.
Yes, Catherine, and 17 Wing here, honestly, with hundreds of members of the Canadian Royal Canadian Air Force, RCAF. It's truly a mini museum here. The history behind it, and it was said earlier that, of course, the Second World War ending about 80 years ago, but we were still honoring and remembering today. We're talking about past, present, and future. What's being done in schools, some of the celebrations that are going on today, and what other roles there are in the force as well. Many people, hundreds, were helped, thousands helped during the evacuations of the wildfires recently, and those roles have been so key in that. So stay with us throughout the morning as we remember.
Thanks so much for that, Ainsley. We'll check in later. All right, Terry's made her way up to the rooftop. Still a bit breezy to kick off the day, Terry.
I was noticing that too. Like every time we take a look outside on the camera views, except I just updated the weather, and out at the airport where the weather reporting station is for Environment Canada, the wind registry had actually gone down a little bit, 15K winds out of the west. And as I step out here on the rooftop, maybe I'm just perfectly sheltered from it because it is quite calm. But again, depending on where we show you those traffic cameras, they're just bopping around in a bit of a breeze, and we are expecting those winds to continue to increase today. So even though this might be a moment of calm, don't get too comfortable with it. -1, speaking of don't get too comfortable, that temperature has dropped off a whole degree, although -1 is a normal daytime high. So that's where we're sitting, and it's just barely 7 a.m. And at about 7:30, or just after 7:30, the sun will officially begin to rise. It's bright enough right now that I can see there's just a few clouds out here at this time, which means we will enjoy some of that sunshine throughout the day today, and certainly some warmer temperatures. I mentioned already sitting at -1, which is a normal daytime high, but making gains up into the plus digits, a fistful of degrees above the freezing mark. 5, 6, those are the average temperatures expected across southern Manitoba. Even northern Manitoba is most likely to see plus digits all across. It doesn't mean there won't still be some snow, especially in these morning hours up in the northeast. That's where the flurries could be flying.
Thanks, Terry. Time now for our question of the day. We want to know, in honor of Remembrance Day, who are you honoring on this Remembrance Day? You can text your answer along with your name to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. Provencher Bridge looking light in terms of those traffic volumes. Of course, we're expecting a faster drive given Remembrance Day. We're going to take a break here, but Your Morning Winnipeg continues after this.
Tonight, a blockbuster twist in a W5 investigation that exposed a global network of sexual predators.
Ain't no pill gonna cure this ill. Behind bars is gonna stop it.
A man we nicknamed Henri uploaded videos of his wife.
He deserves to get caught. He needs to be caught.
We reveal how W5's evidence has put a man behind bars in Geneva, Switzerland. Tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
The chief of a First Nation in Western Manitoba is charged in connection to a historical sexual assault investigation. RCMP began investigating in May after receiving a report of an alleged sexual assault from 1984. The alleged female victim says she was younger than 16 years old at the time. Mounties are not releasing her name or the community where the alleged assault happened to protect her privacy. As a result of the investigation, RCMP say 65-year-old Vincent Tacken was arrested and charged last Wednesday. Tacken is currently seeking re-election as chief of Sioux Valley Dakota Nation located west of Brandon. These allegations have not been tested in court. And Monday night, Tacken posted a statement to the First Nations official website in response to these allegations, saying he's in shock. The statement says in part, quote, "I will defend myself in court. I will ensure my name is cleared. I hope to see my name cleared as your chief and legal representative." But his statement has since been taken down. More people are now eligible to use Manitoba's Veterans License Plate, including former RCMP and peace officers. Manitoba Public Insurance, along with the province and the Royal Canadian Legion, have expanded the eligibility criteria for the special plates. To get the Veteran License Plate in the past, you had to have 3 years of honorable service with the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, former members of the military, RCMP, peace officers in special duty areas, and wartime service in the Merchant Navy or Ferry Command can get one. Those who finish basic training with the armed forces and were honorably discharged can also get a plate. The special license plate is free for eligible recipients. Turning now to the football field for one last Winnipeg High School game. The Quad A Gustafson Bowl got underway Monday night between the Elmwood Giants and West Kildonan Wolverines. Elmwood won 35-6. For those looking to extend the high school football season, the league is hosting its second annual Combine December 7th at the University of Winnipeg. Checking in on traffic, it is very quiet along Osborne Street. Of course, that's expected to remain as most folks aren't working for Remembrance Day. A reminder, though, if you have any traffic tips to share, you can text them to us at 10400.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
Time now for some entertainment news. The iconic Winnipeg band featuring 2 rock legends is returning for a big performance. Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman will embark on a 2026 tour under the Guess Who name for the first time in 23 years. The tour includes 10 dates and begins in Moncton, New Brunswick on May 26th. The Winnipeg concert at Canada Life Centre takes place on June 5th. Last year, Cummings and Bachman received the rights to the Guess Who trademark after settling a lawsuit with former members Jim Cale and Gary Peterson. The lawsuit alleged Cale and Peterson formed a cover band to perform and release albums under the Guess Who name, while allegedly misleading fans into thinking Bachman and Cummings were still involved in the act. It's almost that time of year again for a Who-Bill-ation.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot.
Wrong-o.
The Grinch!
I must not.
Universal Pictures shared a 25th anniversary trailer for How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's making a return to the big screen for one day only. On December 12th, you can watch Jim Carrey in his iconic role at the movie theater. Tickets are on sale now. Speaking of the Grinch, the movie's signature song just got a makeover.
Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you?
Taylor Momsen of The Pretty Reckless recreated the song that was featured in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. 25 years ago, she sang Where Are You Christmas on the silver screen as Cindy Lou Who. Fans can check out the band's new holiday EP, which features 4 original holiday songs. And your primetime lineup starts at 7 with E-Talk and The Big Bang Theory. MasterChef Canada is on at 8. At 9, catch The Traders Canada, and The Pit wraps things up at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The CTV Primetime lineup is brought to you by Strictly Amish, exclusively in Arborg, Manitoba.
Terry, I was going to ask you your favorite Christmas movie, but I have a strictly no Christmas talk until after Remembrance Day. So think on it and I'll follow up. Yeah. Terry, it's not looking too Christmassy out there. I've been enjoying our conditions the last couple of days.
I didn't enjoy yesterday so much, and that one did look a little bit Christmassy, but this morning, what a beautiful change up from the nastiness of those winds and the swirling snow yesterday. Here's a look now through the Bathfitter Live Eye Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. And yeah, a beautiful start to the morning with the temperatures and the conditions, unlike yesterday with the swirling snow and that breeze that had such a bite to it. And our temperatures yesterday remained well below seasonal, but that will not be the case today. In fact, we're already at what is normal for a daytime high, sitting at -1, and many places through the rest of the province are already above the freezing mark. Kenora joins us at -1, but plus digits nearly everywhere else, unless we're talking about northern Manitoba. And then there's a few temps just below the freezing mark here in the far northeast as well. But again, only just, whereas some are either at 0 or into the plus digits. There will be some heavier clouds, though, hanging around northern Manitoba throughout the day today, with a bit of precipitation that doesn't read on the satellite image. But if you can imagine from where the flurries are off to the east of us, running in this diagonal line right up into northern Manitoba, that's where the snow will be for today. Many of us, though, already in the clear, and we'll see increasing amounts of sun. As the day goes on, we'll probably get to 0 by about 8 a.m. And if you're headed out to an outdoor ceremony today, 3 degrees expected, with just a few clouds lingering. 5 is our expected high for today. Into the evening time, that temperature will start to drop off again. Of course, the sun will be setting before 5 p.m. and it's already starting to cool by then. But as far as temperatures go throughout the week, above the freezing mark, well above, and even into the double digits on Friday before we start to see that return to the more seasonal temps this weekend. Stunning sky yesterday morning out in the Norway House area. Thanks to Beverly for snapping this photo and sharing it to Winnipeg Weather at CTV.ca.
Thanks, Terry. At Your Morning Winnipeg, we are all about celebrating your amazing pets, furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions have been amazing, and we want to see even more. Whether it's dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pals, send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca. And catch us every Thursday to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on Your Morning Winnipeg. Thousands of flags were placed on the lawn outside Toronto's Sunnybrook's Veterans Centre on Monday as part of an annual tradition ahead of Remembrance Day. CTV's Mike Walker has more on Operation Raise a Flag.
One by one, Canadian and Indigenous design flags are being planted
A poignant symbol honoring the service and sacrifices made by veterans who live at Sunnybrook's Veterans Center.
It gives me a kind of a joy to see that happen.
Like 74-year-old Oswald Reese, he served with the 48th Highlanders and participated in several UN peacekeeping missions.
I just look at it and remember all the soldiers, everybody that take part in the wars and what they have done. And to get a happy feeling to know that we did something that make the world a better place.
This is the 15th year for Operation Raise a Flag. All day, a small army of volunteers, staff, and military members have been planting 30,000 flags on the lawns in and around Sunnybrook, a display veterans will wake up to on Remembrance Day.
I think it's so important that we appreciate, learn, and make sure we remember.
It's a tradition here for us to have Veterans Week and to really pay tribute to the sacrifices that they made for us, for Canada.
Each flag represents a donation from the community, with the proceeds supporting several programs offered at the Veterans Center. Programs meant to enhance the quality of life for veterans, including a music room, photography club, and recently a new library branch.
Average age is about 97, 98. And I really strongly believe that a big part of that is because we do focus on enhancing their quality of life. It's more than just about their physical health.
150 veterans call Sunnybrook home, like Len Kubis, who spent the morning watching from the window.
I'm impressed with all the activity that supports veterans.
He was a navigator with the Royal Canadian Air Force and says it's an overwhelming display of gratitude.
Some of my classmates ended up not surviving their tour of duty, so I'm very happy to be here.
During a solemn time of remembrance. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Ainsley McPhail is spending the morning at 17 Wing. Coming up, she's going to learn how folks there are keeping the Remembrance Day message alive.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, this morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
On this Remembrance Day, CTV's Ainsley McPhail is live at 17 Wing. So much work underway, Ainsley, to make sure that Remembrance Day message is still alive for generations to come.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And with the kids, right? We want to educate them, and who better to do it than Catherine Canton, who is the, please tell me the name of the title, because I don't want to get it wrong.
Petty Officer First Class.
Petty Officer First Class. And part of what you're wearing, too, is incorporated in that. So tell us what the kids are asking and how you differ from other ranks.
Well, they see a black uniform and they ask me, are you a cop? Because, you know, no, I'm in the Navy. Navies are very well known in Manitoba because they think the prairies were the oceans. But we do have a naval unit in Winnipeg. It's called HMCS Chippewa. So we are basically a training center for our new enrolled sailors. Yeah.
You speak to hundreds of kids. So what are you telling them?
They're just like talking about like the history week. So like yesterday I was in a school and we spoke about the poem in Flanders Field. They just wanted to know who was John McCrae and why he wrote it, and asking questions about the meaning of his words and how sad he was when he actually wrote it, because he was about the death of his friend. You know, it all triggered the emotions. And so yeah, they're just so super cute, and they look at me and with their big eyes, and it's very rewarding.
Well, when you do that, can you see the impact in the children?
Yes, because like I said, like they think of war and like they see like the war movies, but they don't realize that there's actually real people today in 2025 serving still. So yes, remembering is about those who came before us, but it's also thinking about those who are protecting our country right now at this very moment.
Do you think that what you're doing could inspire these future generations to perhaps join the Air Force or any of the other roles that are available?
Well, that's what I said yesterday, because in McCrae's poem, the last few words are like, it's our job to actually like pick up, where our ancestors left it and make sure that our country is left, protected and free. So I hope so. I really do hope so, because they were super like excited and they asked me about my, my rank and everything. And it was just, they're very super sweet.
Maybe they can tell me. Maybe. We were talking about this off camera. Thank you so much. It is Remembrance Day, everybody. Remember to wear that poppy. And if you're interested in going to the many ceremonies throughout our community, head to a link on our website for more details.
Okay, very important work being done there. Thanks so much, Ainsley. Terry Gale, if anyone is heading outside to one of the outdoor ceremonies, how should they be dressing?
You know, I've got my long coat on today. I'm ready for perhaps some strong winds increasing. But with that being said, the temperatures are so much warmer than yesterday that you don't need to bundle up anywhere near as much as you did to try and be comfortable yesterday. I know that was a difficult task with the winds and the colder temps. But now we're sitting at -1 with winds out of the west 15 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity is sitting at 92%. That sky looking stunning. The sun will be up in just a few minutes time, 3 minutes time, I think, at about 7:34 this morning. The heavier clouds will be lingering across much of northern Manitoba, but here in the south you can see the breaks in those clouds, letting some of that sun, or at least daylight, through right now. We'll see the sun, as I said, in just a few minutes time. And then with that come the increasing temperatures. It will be a beautiful day today, well above seasonal. In fact, -1 where we're sitting right now is already a normal daytime high, but instead we're soaring up into the plus digits, expecting to be around 5 degrees. Those winds are likely to get stronger yet, at times gusting to 50 kilometers per hour, and then overnight still with those noticeable winds in place, but only dropping back to the freezing mark as the sky continues to clear. So things will be looking good again for tomorrow, with plenty of sunshine on tap and even warmer temperatures and even lighter winds. So seeing improvements on all fronts tomorrow. And in fact, it continues to warm up as we continue through the rest of the week. We could hit double digits by Friday. We might have some heavier clouds that day, but following that, the temperatures will start to slide, and we're back below the freezing mark on Sunday, with those more seasonal temperatures expected to continue all throughout next week.
Thanks, Terry. On this Remembrance Day, veterans around the world remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. They also have a simple message for the rest of us.
Just never forget.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was 19 years old when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942. He lives at a facility in Winnipeg now, along with 101-year-old Andrew Prodonick. Mr. Prodonick was also 19 when he joined the war in 1943. 1 million Canadians served in Second World War. Only a small number of veterans from that war are still alive today. The men say their one hope is that their memories will never be forgotten. And to mark Remembrance Day 2025, several ceremonies and events are happening around the province. In Winnipeg, the Anavets Unit 283 Assiniboia is holding a Remembrance Day ceremony at 3584 Portage Avenue. Doors open at 9:30. The event at Minto Armory on St. Matthews starts at 10:30. Attendees are asked to dress for the weather. And the Royal Winnipeg Rifles will mark the day at Vimy Ridge Park starting at 10:30. The biggest ceremony is at RBC Convention Centre beginning at 10:40. Several other Legion branches in Winnipeg are also holding ceremonies. Around the province, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 65 in Portage-La Prairie is holding a ceremony at 11 at Stride Place. Brandon's Keystone Center's event starts at 10:40. You can find more information on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Crews in South Korea demolished a pair of towers, trying to clear the way to 4 trapped workers. The workers became trapped last week during a collapse at the decommissioned power plant. At the time, crews were getting the plant ready for demolition. There were 9 workers trapped. 2 of them were rescued. The bodies of 3 workers have also been recovered. And there are 4 workers still trapped in the rubble. 2 are presumed dead. 2 others are considered missing. During a visit to Calgary, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne says there has been a shift in perception on developing oil and gas.
The fact that the Prime Minister changed the tone to talk about an energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy, I think has really changed how people perceive these things.
Minister Champagne was speaking to the Calgary Chamber of Commerce during his tour to sell the federal budget. Business leaders say they came away from the event encouraged about the possibility of a new pipeline. When asked about a pipeline, Minister Champagne says the Major Projects Office is looking at all proposals. It appears the decision by Canadian provinces to pull U.S. wines and liquors from liquor store shelves is having an impact as U.S. sales, have fallen sharply. That's created an opening in the market, and Canadian vineyards are hoping to fill it. According to the California-based Wine Institute, U.S. wine sales in Canada fell 91% in the second quarter of this year. The president of Wine Growers Nova Scotia says wineries in that province have seen an uptick in sales with a lack of U.S. products in the market. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario says sales on Ontario VQA wines, which are made entirely from local grapes, are up 67% year over year, and red wine sales have risen 80%. The city's newest Costco is getting ready to open its doors. The bulk retailer is holding a ribbon-cutting ceremony Thursday morning for the new location on Portage Avenue West near Assiniboia Downs. Expected to make an appearance are both the Premier and Mayor. The Costco on St. James Street is closing temporarily starting Wednesday at 6 p.m. A Costco Business Center is planned to take its place sometime in the new year. Some road closures to remind you about this morning. Empress Street is closed between Saskatchewan and Wellington. At 8, the westbound curb lane of Portage will close for the morning from King Edward to Brooklyn. And following the rush, the median lanes on Main Street will be closed between Portage and Pioneer. If you have any traffic tips or updates to share, you can always text them to us at 10400. Taking a look at your gas prices, the Canadian average stands at $1.34. The provincial average is slightly lower at $1.31. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30, and the lowest price in the city is $1.19. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today.
Looking outside, that sunshine starting to peek out, -1 degrees. Terry Gale will have a full update on weather on the other side of the break.
Your Morning Winnipeg. Coffee is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
-1 outside right now with winds out of the west, 15 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 92%. It really is a gorgeous start to your Tuesday morning. We've got these above seasonal temperatures already, not just here in the south, right across the province, although, well, it's looking a little bit clearer across southern Manitoba. That is not the case across northern Manitoba. You can see those heavier clouds hanging around. What you can't see is precipitation in the north. However, you can see off to the east of us that bit of flurry activity. And just imagine this diagonal band right up into the northeast. That's where there will be perhaps some flurries today, or maybe some showers, because these temperatures will eventually crack the freezing mark. In fact, many places are beginning in the plus digits. The one place just below freezing by 1 or 3 degrees is over here in the northeast, and you will make those gains, eventually getting to the freezing mark or just above by a couple of degrees. Yes, there might be that bit of precipitation in the far northeast, but for everybody else, maybe even increasing amounts of sunshine right up into parts of the northwest today, with these temperature values pushing several degrees above freezing today, when normal daytime highs would keep you below the freezing mark, including here in southern Manitoba. -1 would be a normal daytime high, and instead headed up a fistful or more above the freezing mark. I'm just going to point this out. That is the wind icon, and we too are expecting to notice those winds increasing throughout the day, although right now they're very moderate and light, 15 clicks out of the west. Later today, though, they could be gusting to about 40 kilometers per hour. Still, we'll enjoy some sunshine and these mid-single digit temperatures, and it's going to stay mild all throughout this week, getting warmer by the end of the week on Friday. We could even hit double digits by Friday, but some heavier clouds will move in by then. And then for the weekend, temperatures starting to slide, and we're back to seasonal as we're looking to Sunday and continuing through next week.
Checking in again with CTV's Ainsley McPhail, who's spending the morning at 17 Wing. Of course, we're honoring all those who have served, but also those still currently serving our country today.
Good
Ainsley.
morning. I am not quite hearing anything on your end, but I assume I am live on camera. Happy Remembrance Day, everybody. Colonel Jody Hansen joins me now. Highly decorated Colonel Jody Hansen. The first thing I said when I saw you before hello was, wow, look at these medals. So please tell our audience about them.
Yes, absolutely. So good morning to you, Ainsley. Thank you for having me. So when every Canadian Armed Forces member does an operation or deploys overseas, after a certain time period and meeting certain criteria, we are recognized for our service in that operation with a an applicable or associated medal. So for myself, I've been very fortunate when I was young to do numerous deployments when I was younger, multiple deployments to Afghanistan, to the Middle East area. I have also been deployed to Africa and also Egypt. I spent a year in Egypt as well. So that is the bulk of what these initial medals represent, all of my deployments that I've got to do before. This red and white one here is called the Canadian Decoration, and that one is to recognize the number of years of service of a Canadian Armed Forces member. So you first get it when you hit 12 years of service, and then every 10 years after that, you receive another bar. So myself, I've been in for 29.5 years, so in another approximately 2.5 years, I'll receive my second bar. And the thing to note for this is when you see a member of the forces wandering around with medals with multiple bars, that indicates that they have a high number of years of service. So I was fortunate this year to give 2 third bar to two members of our wing, which means 42 years of service. So truly a lifetime of service to the Canadian Armed Forces. So I was so blessed and honored to be able to endow that upon one of our members here at the wing. So it was a really incredible opportunity. And then at the end is a American medal that we are allowed to wear. It's called the Legion of Merit, and it was to honor my service in the United States as part of the NORAD mission. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed to have these kinds of opportunities during my career and serve Canada in these ways.
There's other opportunities happening right now internationally, whether it would be in Latvia or Ukraine as well. What's available for the youngsters?
There's lots of opportunities going forward in the growing global instability. I believe Canadian Forces will have numerous operations coming down the line. So right now, one of our biggest operations is Operation Reassurance, which is Canada's largest overseas mission. We also have Operation Unifier, where we're training Ukrainian forces to support their efforts, and we also are supporting Canada's belief in democracy, freedom, and peace all around the world. So as we move forward, there will be plenty of opportunities for young folks to join the Canadian Armed Forces if they so wish and travel the world, and especially on new capabilities as well. It's very exciting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We're simply out of time. Really, really appreciate this chat. It's Remembrance Day here on CTV's Your Morning.
Thanks, Ainsley. And on November 10th, 1975, the Edmund Fitzgerald was lost beneath the wave of Lake Superior. 50 years later, crowds gathered at Whitefish Point Monday to hear the bell rung for each life lost on the ship. Dan Grovenfeld has more on the ceremony.
The bell-ringing ceremony for the 50th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald drew people from across the country. License plates bore the names of states from as far away as Oregon, California, Maryland, and Texas. Judy Folbaum made the trip up from Detroit.
The part that I think for me the most was hearing about the people as they were, hearing their stories, not just about this big freighter that went down, but also learning about the lives of those that were on it.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer, among others, spoke at the event. Michael Casson, also from Detroit, was grateful for the chance to participate in the preservation of the memory of the ship and her 29-man crew.
I think it's good for the families themselves. I mean, if I were in their position, I would definitely want them to be remembered. And I think that the more people tell the story, it kind of raises awareness about everyone that's on the seas. It's a very tough job, and as we know, they don't get enough credit.
Author John U. Bacon spoke at the event, telling selected stories about the Fitzgerald's crew. He provided the story of Edward Binden. He had purchased a 2-carat diamond ring to celebrate he and his wife's 25-year anniversary, but decided not to give the ring to his wife himself.
He gives it to a friend with his address and says, "Please mail this to my wife." And that's what he did. And of course, after the ship went down, 3 days later, she received the package. She wore the wedding ring the rest of her life, and she never remarried.
The bell was rung after each crewman's name was read for a total of 29 times. A 30th ring was for all of the sailors who have perished on the Great Lakes.
Now let's see who's celebrating a milestone today. A happy belated 6th birthday to Calvin. Love from Mama, Chantel, Dave, David, and family. Happy 14th birthday, Cree Lynn Joy. Love Mom and all your siblings. Happy birthday to Shanita from Koku, mom, siblings, and the rest of your family. Happy sweet 16th birthday, Lexi. Love from your family and cats. Happy 14th birthday to Amber Lynn from Mom, Dad, and Errol. Happy 6th birthday, Logan, from family and friends. And happy 14th birthday, Nathan. Love Mom, Dad, and Alina. To submit your milestone, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Milestones is brought to you by Party Stuff. 3 Winnipeg locations and at partystuff.ca. Weather is brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
All right, so today high of 5 degrees will put us well above seasonal. Normal this time of year, that would be -1, which is where we're currently sitting right now. So we're doing okay, all things considering. Last year, we got to about 4.2, and we could surpass that today. We won't be hitting any record-breaking temperatures, though. In 1987, we got to almost 15 degrees. Now, it was looking clearer earlier on this morning, but some heavier clouds are starting to move in. I don't think they're going to last throughout the day today. I did anticipate them moving in through the morning hours, but then clearing out into the afternoon. So we will still expect to see some of that sunshine today, but also expect the winds to increase. Right now that wind is 15 clicks out of the west, but it could be getting up to 40 kilometers per hour as it gusts later today. Pressure is rising and the humidity is sitting at 92%. Well, I mentioned these above seasonal temperatures. It's not just here in southern Manitoba, right up into the north. The temperatures above normal and pushing into the plus digits. The northeast might see some scattered flurries today and further east into parts of northwestern Ontario. But for most of us, we'll see these clouds clearing out with increasing amounts of sunshine on tap. And yes, those winds will be increasing, but the temperatures will also continue to rise. A fistful of degrees above the freezing mark for the next few days, but double digits possibly by Friday.
Inventor, businessman, master spy, Sir William Samuel Stevenson was many things. In the history book, he's known as Intrepid, one of the most enigmatic and influential figures in the Second World War. And wouldn't you know, he was born right here in Winnipeg. And on this Remembrance Day, we are joined in studio by Alan Parkin and Dwight McCauley, current and past president of the Intrepid Society, a nonprofit dedicated to honoring and sustaining his memory. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
I was reading this lad's history, and wow, it's incredible. If one of you could give, if possible, a bit of a Coles Notes version for folks, just to give them a taste of who this man was.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevenson was born in January of 1896. He was orphaned at age 4 and ended up being adopted by Stevenson family. His actual original name was William Stanger, and only finished grade 6 in school, but went on to an absolutely amazing career in business and ultimately playing an absolutely pivotal role in the Allied victory in the Second World War, largely as a result of his establishing British security coordination in New York City, the Rockefeller Center, where they coordinated all kinds of espionage and counter-espionage activities around the world. So just an incredible achievement, humble boy from the prairies.
Mm-hmm. Dwight, to me this sounds a lot like James Bond, and it's rumored that this is one of the inspiration for 007.
We've always claimed that, and I think it's true. Really, Ian Fleming, who's of course the author of the James Bond novels, was a friend of Sir William Stevenson's. They both were neighbors, in fact, at one point after the war. Ian Fleming basically worked for Sir William Stevenson doing his espionage and so on. And so they became neighbors after the war. They both had an affinity for large martinis, shaken, not stirred. Also, Ian Fleming loved Sir William's admiration for gadgets and so on. My take on James Bond is this, and you can go back to Ian Fleming's own words, but Ian Fleming worked for Sir William Stevenson, so here's the author of the James Bond. Now, Sir William Stevenson didn't look like Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan or Sean Connery.
Few of us do.
His name was actually Little Bill. He wasn't that big, and he was kind of a bit on the round side. But also in that mix was a gentleman who became a very famous movie star, Cary Grant. And I think Ian Fleming gave James Bond the adventures of Sir William Stevenson, sort of, and gave him the looks of the movie star, Cary Grant. In fact, Cary Grant was asked to be the first James Bond. But when asked about who was James Bond, Ian Fleming often said, James Bond is a romanticized version of a spy. The real deal is William Stevenson.
He's intrepid.
Is intrepid.
So this is a story I think everyone should know all about. And Alan, this is what the Intrepid Society is all about, right? Is keeping their memory alive.
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind of work do you do to do that?
Well, starting off, we have regular get-togethers, guest speakers, sometimes guest lunches. We have a book club where the focus is, and a movie club, by the way, that's focused on espionage, code breaking, all these type of the resistance in occupied Europe, for example, all in the vein of the type of thing Stevenson was involved with. He engineered some amazing escapades when he was the director of British Security Coordination, and not the least of which was helping get America into the war. They fought tooth and nail against the isolationists because 9 out of 10 Americans at the time, the start of the war, did not want to be part of the Second World War or having memories of the First World War, but his organization succeeded in, through various means, getting the U.S. involved in the war.
Well, was he not kind of a go-between between Churchill and Roosevelt, is what I read?
He was, yeah. He was a confidant of both of them, actually. He and Ernest Cuneo, who was another guy that figured in the formula, they were regular contacts with. They also had a station that, I don't know if you mentioned about Camp X, that was established by Stevenson on the shores of Lake Ontario near Whitby. They had a communication system called Hydra that they used to communicate regularly with Churchill.
This is the tip of the iceberg. So folks are interested in learning more. How can they get in touch with the Intrepid Society? Yeah,
easy. Just Google Intrepid Society and they'll hit our website. Fantastic website. Tons of information about Sir William and his life and other resources as well, including various books that we recommend about Stevenson and the whole intelligence system.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us and keeping Sir William Stevenson's memory alive.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hello there, Kara Wagland in the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Monday. And 4, we take you to Edmonton. Blue Jackets and Oilers. Connor McDavid skates in, spins around, sending Denton Matejchuk to the ice and rips a backhand past Jeff Breeze. McDavid, unreal movement to create the time and space, and then finishing in McDavid style. One of the best goals of his career. It earns him the must-see moment from Monday. Just continues to impress night after night. And coming up tonight on TSN, we got some NBA action for you. Celtics and 76ers going head-to-head. Coverage for that one gets underway at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. That's all for now from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a great day.
The TSN Must-See Moment is brought to you by Super Blinds, helping your home get holiday ready with Blinds by Hunter Douglas.
It's Tuesday, November 11th. Losing coveted medical status. What experts say is behind Canada's fall from grace when it comes to controlling a highly contagious disease. A long runway back to normal operations. Why restoring the U.S. travel system will still take a while, even though the government shutdown is about to be over. And this painting of some happy little trees is one of several to be auctioned today to benefit the medium that made the artist a household name in America. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Welcome back, 8 a.m. on your Tuesday morning on this Remembrance Day. Thanks for being with us here in Your Morning Winnipeg. I am Catherine Dow filling in for Rochelle Legacy, demonstrating why I'm a fill-in. And Terry Gale is here joining us as well. We've got a packed final hour. Of course, we're going to be learning all about the Royal Canadian Legion, about how important these services are for our veterans. And these poppies that we wear, not only as a symbol, they provide a lot of important resources and programming for our vets. So we'll have the details later on. Meanwhile, Terry, for those heading out, maybe to an outdoor Remembrance Day ceremony, how's it shaping up?
Hang on to your hats, folks. Well, actually, you'll be removing your hats today. The wind might be removing the hats for you, though. They will be increasing. Right now, they're out of the west, 15 kilometers per hour. -1 is where we're sitting right now, so that is, in fact, a normal daytime high. To be hitting that temperature, and it's barely 8 a.m., not a bad place to begin. Pressure is rising. The humidity is sitting at 92%. Just for a reference point, -9, that would be a normal low temperature, so we are well above that, and we'll continue to make some gains today. But yes, the winds will also be increasing in speed. Right now, it's been on the clearer side here through the very southwestern corner. We did have some clearer conditions, but a few clouds have now started to move in. So that's not likely to last through the day. I kind of expected these clouds to kind of move in momentarily. There you can see by the time we are perhaps headed out to a ceremony this morning, but then clearing more so into the afternoon. Things will look a little bit brighter later on today. Not necessarily the case, though, across parts of northern Manitoba with the clouds. There will be some snow from the northeast. It's going to move in this diagonal line right across that border into parts of northwestern Ontario as well. Fairly clear overnight, and still more sunshine expected tomorrow and throughout the rest of this week. Temperatures well above seasonal. I mentioned -1 being a normal daytime high, and instead plus digits is where we'll be, even getting up into the double digits by Friday before those temperatures start to fall off. I love our weather art today. It's thanks to Harlan, 8 years old, and we'd love to see more of what you're working on, so draw, color, or paint and send that picture to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The weather art of the day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
Thanks, Terry. Canada has a long road ahead to regain its measles elimination status.
Once the outbreak's declared over, then we will have to work for 12 months to sustain that lack of transmission.
Canada's measles outbreak started in October last year. Since then, more than 5,000 cases have been reported. 84% of the cases are in Ontario and Alberta. Ontario declared the outbreak over last month. The outbreak in Alberta, though, is still happening. The spread of measles has to stop for at least 12 months before Canada can be considered measles-free by the Pan American Health Organization. And the province is warning of another potential measles exposure near Winkler. It affects the Outpost Grill at the Co-op Card Lock near the intersection of Highways 3 and 14. The province advises anyone who is there between 3:30 and 9 p.m. on October 25th and 26th to monitor for symptoms and check their vaccination records. Ottawa's second round of major projects will be announced this week, and many provinces are hoping for good news.
We've been working hard on a number of projects, and the announcement won't be the Interties. It will be one of the other projects that we've been pushing for.
New Brunswick was left off the list in September, but Premier Susan Holt is hopeful that won't happen this time. Meanwhile, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith wants to see a pipeline to Tidewater on the list. In a statement to CTV News, Smith says there have been discussions working toward the ultimate approval of the Alberta to BC bitumen pipeline. Designating a major project gives it special treatment, exempting it from certain environmental laws to help move it forward. Prime Minister Carney will announce the second list of projects on Thursday in Prince Rupert, BC. Even as the U.S. government shutdown is close to ending, it will take longer for air travel to get back to normal.
We usually go away on the holidays. I think we're going to take this one off.
I don't think I'll see myself flying anytime soon.
The FAA is still ramping up flight cancellations this week. Flight reductions will hit 6% today, going up to 10% by Friday. The Transportation Secretary says even when the government reopens, he wants to see airport staffing numbers go up before cancellations are lifted. Governor General Mary Simon will not be attending the National Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa this morning. She is recovering in hospital from a respiratory virus. Rito Hall says only that she was recovering and, quote, doing well. Chief Justice Richard Wagner will fill in for the Governor General at the National War Memorial. Coverage of the National Remembrance Day ceremony will begin at 9 a.m. Manitoba time here on CTV. 3 original paintings by Bob Ross are being auctioned off today with the aim of supporting public TV stations in the U.S.
He loved his public television. He loved the platform. He loved the fact that public television feels more like just him and the viewer.
The sale has been organized by American Public Television, with all net proceeds going to benefit public broadcasting. Public media is under pressure in the U.S. right now, with Congress eliminating $1.1 billion worth of federal funding. Taking a look at the current traffic situation around St. James, it is quiet and is expected to stay that way, as many are not going into work today on Remembrance Day. But if you have any traffic tips or updates to share, text them to us at 10400. Ainsley McPhail is spending this Remembrance Day down at 17 Wing. What have you got for us now, Ainsley?
Good morning, Catherine. Now, it's so fascinating to talk to folks from different walks of life in our Canadian military. Corporal Isaac Brent joins us now to talk about his role. Good morning, Isaac. Thank you for being here today. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a loadmaster here at 435 Squadron at 17 Wing Winnipeg. We do transport and search and rescue, as well as some air-to-air refueling. We participated in the Operation Lentis this year, where we had several rotations of evacuating the remote communities up north, delivering aid, and evacuating ambulatory patients in wheelchairs, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm here on this Remembrance Day talking with everybody.
Well, that's so important too, because it's obviously important that we reflect on the past and honor the folks who lost their lives, but also the heroes of today. Tell us about yourself and your colleagues and why what you guys do is so integral to our province and our country.
So one of the things that I like about 435 Squadron, like you said, my colleagues, we have a mandate not only to help elsewhere, but to help here in Canada. We train for search and rescue as much as we can. My colleagues are some of the best trained in the world, I believe. The SARTECs are absolutely superheroes. And it's an honor to be able to serve the people of my country, the one I wear my flag for.
Mm-hmm. And if there's any kids watching, like yourself 15 years ago, what would you tell them?
If you can think of it, you can do it. It's sometimes things seem so far away until you just take your first step, and then it's just another and another. So if you have any dreams out there, or if you ever consider joining the forces, just get informed. It's easier than you think.
Thank you so much for helping us provide that information. We've got an exceptional interview coming up at 8:38.
All right.
Stay with us.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Ainsley. A small community east of Ottawa has put together a big display to remember those who gave their lives for Canada. A 7-meter tall wreath made of over 1,000 crocheted poppies is on display at the Martintown Mill. CTV's Dylan Dyson has more.
For retired combat engineer Gerald Dogood, a Remembrance Day display such as this is special.
My wife and I drove by here on Sunday, and I was very emotional. I still have today when I think about that. Because Remembrance Day week is very emotional for me. I think about the people I know that have passed away.
In the small community of Martintown, on the 180-year-old mill hangs a 25-foot tall wreath.
When I feel that, everyone that represents those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and they are remembered.
The wreath is made from 1,500 poppies crocheted and constructed by residents of the Martintown community.
About 30 people crocheted poppies, so 30 people as far away as Alberta who have connections to the area mailed poppies to us.
Really, it's for the community. I wanted something for the community to stand in. And we have the old mill, and that was the best thing to show it off.
The history of military service in Martintown runs deep. It was just 5 years ago that Dogood helped build the community's first cenotaph.
The names on the cenotaph here are the 26 from Martintown who, in fact, gave their lives in the First and the Second World War.
There's a lot of past history of veterans in the area, people serving currently as well. We've had a lot of people reach out to us who currently have children deployed, and they appreciate that this has been put up there for them.
Months worth of effort put into a project to honor lives that were lost.
We're just so thankful to live in Canada. We appreciate the freedom that we have. We want to recognize the people who are aging, who, make sure that we have these rights and freedoms.
The effort, the initiative, and the willingness to do it so that they contribute to the act of remembrance and remembering those that have fallen and give the ultimate sacrifice. What a way to do that, isn't it?
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Martintown.
A look now through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. We've got some heavier clouds that have moved in. It was clearer an hour or so ago. These clouds that have settled in They're not going to last through the day, perhaps through the morning hours, but then clearing into the afternoon. As far as temperatures go, we're making some gains. We were at -1 last hour. We've jumped a couple degrees to the plus side of freezing, along with the rest of southern Manitoba. We're all sitting in the plus digits right now, or at least at the freezing mark. Brandon coming in at 0 degrees. Now further to the east, it's just a little bit cooler. Kenora sitting at -1, and we're seeing some below the freezing mark temperatures, but above seasonal into parts of the northeast. So just a couple degrees below the freezing mark. You'll make some gains and end up in the plus digits later today, but already in the plus digits. Northwestern Manitoba, however, heavier clouds are expected all across the north. And with those clouds, there might even be a little bit of light snow from the northeast in this diagonal line into parts of northwestern Ontario. As we continue on through the day, I mentioned the extra clouds that we're seeing for now. They might last through the morning hours and through those morning ceremonies, but into the afternoon, that sky will likely be clearing out, and we'll see increasing amounts of sunshine then. 1 degree already now, up to 3 by the time those ceremonies start. 5 is our expected high today. However, by about 5 p.m. that sun will have already set and those temperatures begin to fall off a little bit, but they'll be back on the rise again tomorrow and throughout the rest of this week, getting up into the double digits by Friday before these temperatures start to slide a little bit, looking ahead to the weekend. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, this morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
This morning, Queen Camilla led an Armistice Day ceremony in the UK. The Queen observed 2 minutes of silence and laid a wreath of poppies at Paddington train station in London. The remembrance honors soldiers who died in the First and Second World War, as well as other conflicts since. King Charles has led a Remembrance Sunday service over the weekend. And in Paris, French President Emmanuel Macron led an Armistice Day ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe. Macron stood before the tomb of the unknown soldier before meeting with some veterans. Armistice Day ceremonies are also happening in Belgium, Poland, and other European countries. In times of conflict and in peace, Canadians pause each November 11th. This is to commemorate that at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the horrors and hostilities of World War I came to an end. But over a century later, we remain steadfast in our commitment to remembering all those who served and those who paid the ultimate price for our country. Joining me now to speak more about this important occasion, we have Cohen Rutledge and Cody Clausen with the Royal Canadian Legion of Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario. Thank you both for being with us.
Yeah, and thanks for that.
So we hear about this since we're wee ones in school, the importance of Remembrance Day. It's a somber day, but a necessary one. Cohen, why is it so important that we keep this Remembrance Day message alive?
Absolutely. I think we all enjoy the country we live in, and sometimes it can be easy to forget the incredible price that was paid for the freedoms that we enjoy. Remembrance Day is a wonderful day to remember what the soldiers have done for our nation, the over 100,000 Canadians who have given their lives in conflicts since this country was born, and the hundreds of thousands more who have served in defense of the freedoms and privileges that we enjoy.
And so much of this is, silent. We don't take this into account every day, that the things that we enjoy, as you mentioned, were fought for, hard fought for. On top of this, there's so much going on, and in the days leading up, not only with the ceremonies, but we wear this poppy here as a small symbol. And even though it's a small symbol, it has a big financial impact, I understand.
Yeah, so all of the money donated by Canadians to purchase their poppies or donate to the poppies all goes into a fund held in trust, and all that money is used to support programs that the Royal Canadian Legion provides, such as our veteran homeless program, subsidized housing for veterans. I think so far this year we've donated upwards of $80,000 to different veterans programs. So.
And the Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario Legions are part of a very large network, and they offer support all across the country, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so any time that we have any sort of programs that we can offer, we sort of have a bigger network of people and organizations that we can work with outside of the Legion as well, such as VAC directly and the Veterans Alliance, and a number of other organizations.
So this is also top of mind, obviously, today, but there's programming resources available year-round, and you need volunteers always to keep things going. So tell us what kind of work people can do, what sort of folks are in need. Tell us about that.
For sure, yeah. I think it's important to recognize the volunteers who put these drives together alongside with our cadets across the country. They put in hours, countless hours, putting these campaigns together, and they're always in need of more hands. Only one person can only hold one box, so the more the better. The more people that are helping out, the more we can support veterans with those funds.
And you know, we were hearing earlier in the show, we have so fewer and fewer Second World War veterans especially. And so without these folks around to continue that message, it's up to us, everyone else, to keep passing that along. And that's sort of the center of a contest you have growing on to inspire the next generation. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the initiatives that we have for the youth in Canada is the National Youth Remembrance Contest. And this contest is for school-age children that are able to submit essays, poems, posters, and recently videos where they're able to symbolize remembrance and what it means to them. And in entering, they have a chance to win at the local level all the way up to the national level, where their entries would be displayed in Ottawa for everyone to see.
Really neat stuff. Oh, well, thank you so much for being with us. And can folks just drop in at a Legion today to celebrate and pay their respects? All right. Well, thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for indoor ceremonies, no worries about the weather. For outdoor ceremonies, you'll want something that might protect you somewhat from the winds, which are starting to increase and will continue to get stronger throughout the day today. It's 1 degree right now, so temperature-wise, we'll continue to see those temperatures rise, and we're already well above seasonal, with -1 being a normal daytime high. +1 is where we're sitting right now. Those winds have gotten a little bit stronger, though, now 22 clicks out of the west, with the pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 88%. And yes, heavier clouds out here right now. I'm not seeing much in the way of blue sky, but I'm anticipating that much later on into the day, we will in fact see that sunshine, probably after midday and through the afternoon is when these clouds will clear out and things will look a whole lot brighter. But it's only going to get breezier with those winds increasing out of the west today. At times they could be gusting to about 40 kilometers per hour. But temperatures are also going to be on the rise and ending up a fistful of degrees above the freezing mark. And right up into northern Manitoba, plus digits are on tap as well. So mild no matter where you are. But yes, a little bit windy. And throughout the rest of this week, we'll enjoy sunshine and increasing temperatures. Talk about a stunning sunrise. This was taken yesterday morning by Beverly up in the Norway House area. Thanks for the photo, and keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
Canadians who serve our country sacrifice so much for our freedom, and for some, the fight continues even after they've returned home. Data from Statistics Canada's 2022 Canadian Veteran Health Survey shows anxiety and mood disorders are much more common among veterans than the general population, with 1 in 5 veterans experiencing suicidal ideations in their lifetimes. But there is hope and help available, and Cameron Bennett, a 20-year veteran of the Canadian Forces, is proof of just that. And he joins me in studio to share his story. Bennett, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for your service to our country off the top.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's talk about that. 20 years, how did the whole career begin, and what were some of the highlights?
Well, it was definitely some ups and downs, and there definitely were some highlights and some low points. But always as a kid, I wanted to join the military. I think my grandfather fighting in the war, fighting in Dieppe, getting captured there, his stories, they always inspired me. I thought that was true resilience and pride and strength. So I joined the military when I was 18 at the Fort Garry Horse in the reserves. The reason I joined that was because they told me it would get me into the Reg Force faster.
Yeah.
But it took me a little bit longer, and then I ended up joining the PPCLI, went through battle school, and then Afghanistan happened.
Wow.
And a couple tours there, 1 tour to Bosnia, Fun ended there, and I switched over to the Air Force after they didn't need as many infanteers. After that, I fixed planes for a while, and definitely enjoyed that a lot, but then got out at 2018 once they realized I was a little bit injured, I guess, in some ways, in a lot of ways, and had to start a whole new life.
Well, Cameron, on that, re-entering civilian life after 20 years, what was that experience like?
I found it extremely difficult because, especially with dealing with combat arms and then joining the Army and doing that stuff, the lifestyle is extremely different. Normal conversations for soldiers that have been overseas aren't normal in civilian life. So it was very hard trying to reconnect and find groups of people. So I guess that's one of the hardest things I had to do, is realizing that I was broken, I guess, in some ways, and trying to rebuild myself.
You've had a real watershed moment, though, in this whole process, and it involved your dog, so tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, yes, Bishop. Bishop, he's recently passed this last winter.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It happened. He had 9 great years with me, and he had to walk every day. He always had everything he wanted. But he showed me who I was. I always thought I was a bad person, especially after I released, thinking I was just told I can't do the only thing that I've known to do. So he was the one that actually jumped up on me one day when I was going through an episode. Couldn't figure out where I was, what I was doing, and was really hating myself. And he jumped up on me and started licking my face. His nails were digging into my chest as he was pulling me actually down, because he was just still licking my face. And I guess for that split second there, I got a moment of happiness of realizing he was just looking at me of who I was, not what other people look at. So that kind of turned me around a little bit more.
You've been on a path to kind of reacclimate, if you will, and you're really passing this along to other veterans with your work with Forging Ahead. It's about blacksmithing, right? So tell me about what is this work that you do, and how is it helpful to veterans?
Well, why I think it's helpful for me is it's got that bit of that, I guess you could say, old school masculine look. So soldiers, when they come out of the military, they don't want to think they're doing little talking circles, because they're always taught that emotions and feelings are weakness. So this way you're doing a little bit of more physical stuff. I mean, you're banging metal and iron and moving and smashing metal. So I mean, it's kind of that adrenaline thing there you get going. So guys don't have a problem with doing that stuff, and it gets people talking more, but it also releases your energy. It also allows you to focus more, and instead of like fighting where your adrenaline's going and you have your fight or flight instinct in you, you have the more positive sides. You get things like problem-solving skills, learning. You get ideas of teamwork. You get communication. You're also learning to accept making mistakes, because if you don't know something, how many times people will come up and say, hey, how do you do this? And they're learning that to accept a mistake or failure and realize that someone knows more and teach on. So it gets people talking more. And as well, I think it gives you that physical exertion at the same time. I always call it my zen.
Yeah, we all need it. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful work you're doing. And again, thank you so much for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Your Morning Winnipeg. Coffee is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
It's beautiful outside, 1 degree already, with winds out of the west, 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising, the humidity sitting at 88%. That wind is starting to increase a bit, and we expect it to continue to do so. But we will eventually see the sunshine back again after some heavier clouds have moved in. With those clouds, there's also going to be some flurry activity across parts of northern Manitoba. If only my machine was working right now. Let's take a look and see. Oh, okay, there it is. Patience, grasshopper. 5 degrees, and those winds out of the northwest gusting to 50 kilometers per hour, so it will get very breezy today and a little bit sunnier. I know we're seeing some heavier clouds right now, but they'll be clearing throughout the day today. Okay, 0 degrees. That's what we're going to fall to overnight with those northwest winds gusting to 40 kilometers per hour. And as far as the temperatures go today, could get even warmer yet, up to 6 degrees with some sunshine. Things will be looking good. And that breeze on the lighter side. The rest of the week is looking even better. Well, by better, I'm talking Friday, really, when we're pushing up into the double digits. It will be cooling down for the weekend, though, and we'll be back to those seasonal temps for next week.
Thanks, Terry. The chief of a First Nation in western Manitoba is charged in connection to a historical sexual assault investigation. RCMP began investigating in May after receiving a report of an alleged sexual assault from 1984. The alleged female victim says she was younger than 16 years old at the time. Mounties are not releasing her name or the community where the alleged assault happened to protect her privacy. As a result of the investigation, RCMP says 65-year-old Vincent Tacken was arrested and charged last Wednesday. Tacken is currently seeking re-election as chief of Sioux Valley Dakota Nation, located west of Brandon. And a reminder, these allegations have not yet been tested in court. And Monday night, Tacken posted a statement to the First Nations official website in response to these allegations, saying he is in shock. The statement says in part, quote, "I will defend myself in court. I will ensure my name is cleared. I hope to see my name cleared as your chief and legal representative." His statement has since been taken down. Canada will welcome G7 ministers to the Niagara region today to talk about economic and security challenges. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand will welcome U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and other foreign ministers from the Group of 7 countries today. Minister Anand says Secretary Rubio has been respectful when dealing with G7 ministers and has not repeated U.S. President Donald Trump's calls to make Canada the 51st state. Talk of Canadian sovereignty did cast a shadow over the last G7 meeting in March. But Marco Rubio has said the G7 gatherings is not a meeting to talk about Trump's annexation comments. Get your goggles ready. A Windsor Park pool is set to reopen after being closed for a year and a half. Renovations at Bonnie Vital Pool are wrapping up. Visitors can expect to see the addition of new universal change room, an accessible sauna, and a new multi-purpose room. Upgrades to the lobby and mechanical systems were also part of the $6.7 million project. The reopening date is November 17th. More than 1 million Canadians served in the Second World War, and today only a few thousand remain. CTV's Alex Karpa spoke to some of them about what they want Canadians to know on Remembrance Day.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was just 19 when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942.
I don't know why, but I enjoyed my time in the Air Force.
He was an aircraft mechanic during the war stationed in England, where he worked on Liberator bombers. Rosamond recalls his brother, who was an air gunner during the war, left England the same day he arrived.
I thought that was quite a novel thing to have happen.
101-year-old Andrew Pradanik was also 19 when he joined the war effort in 1943.
I tried to get into be a pilot, but all the positions were filled because this was near the end of the war, and so I took on navigation.
Pradanik trained in Brandon, Regina, Saskatoon, and ended up in Rivers, Manitoba. By the time his training was complete, the war was over. He says he has fond memories of his time in active duty.
It was very interesting work.
With Remembrance Day, Pradanik and Rosamond will both remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. And with that, Rosamond is sharing a simple message.
Just never forget.
Both men live at this facility here in Winnipeg and are part of a dwindling number of Second World War veterans in Canada, a conflict where more than 1 million Canadians served. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Taking a look at the current traffic situation on Norwood Bridge. Not terribly busy as is expected on this Remembrance Day, but if you have any traffic tips or updates to share, you can text them to us at 10400. And taking a look at your gas prices, the Canadian average stands at $1.34. The provincial average slightly lower at $1.31. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30, and the lowest price in the city is $1.19. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today.
And turning now to the responses of our question of the day, we wanted to know, who are you honoring on this Remembrance Day? Marlene is honoring her grandfather, Frankie Bosch, friend Delcio Pereira, and Frank Ferris. Cherie is remembering her grandfathers, Felix A. Fontaine and Joseph Olaney, both Second World War veterans. Shannon says, my late grandfather, Clifford McManus, and late great uncle, Russell Page, both fought in the Second World War. Nancy also says her father, Clifford McManus, adding, I miss him every day. Thank you so much for your responses. And we're checking in one last time with CTV's Ainsley McPhail, who's spending this Remembrance Day at 17 Wing.
Good morning, Catherine. And while it is 17 Wing, you might not also know it's the Canadian Air Division HQ. And I am so honored to be joined by our next guest. We've got Brigadier General Jeff Davis and Division Chief Warrant Officer Deepan Mistry. Thank you both for being here this morning. So when we talk about this building, 17 Wing, a lot of people might not know that it's also the HQ for the Air Division, really helping folks from all around the world. Please explain what that means.
So good morning, and that's exactly true. The 1 Canadian Air Division headquarters building is a larger unit at 17 Wing, and it's the heart of the operational Air Force for Canada. So as we stand here this morning in what we refer to as the atrium, it really is our inspiration each day as we come into work or when we leave, as we see many of the artifacts, pictures, photos, and we honor those Victoria Cross winners who are displayed on our walls here each and every morning as we come to do our jobs.
I feel like I'm actually in a museum right now with all of the history, and I feel like it's such a privilege to be able to stand here with you guys. When it comes to Remembrance Day in itself, Deepan, we want to talk about the future, but also the present too.
Right. So on Remembrance Day, our thoughts first turn to those who came before us. They built the foundation that we stand on today. And I'll say that their legacy lives on today in every member of 1 Canadian Air Division and the Canadian NORAD region, which is also headquartered here at 17 Wing. And it's those members that guard our skies, that protect our sovereignty here at home and abroad, and also our search and rescue crews who launch into danger every single day to save the lives of others so that they may live.
Yeah, and we chatted with a young man this morning about that. So many people with different walks of life. Real quick, where are you guys headed this morning?
So once we're complete here, we're off to the RBC Centre to attend the provincial ceremony for Remembrance Day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And our CTV News will be streaming that live as well. ctvnewswinnipeg.ca.
All right. Thanks for all of this morning, Ainsley. Checking with Terry Gale. Yesterday, speaking of Gale, I know many people have made that joke before, Terry. Those winds, wow, they were fast and furious.
And they hurt, honestly. They were, yes, fast and furious and cold and biting and all of the adjectives that we can come up with to talk about how unpleasant of a day it was. Today is looking far better than that and is feeling better as well. We're at 1 degree right now, plus digits on tap. Winds will still get stronger. They're right now out of the west, 22 kilometers per hour. You can see our camera shaking out there. Pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 88%. And we've been watching the clouds building up over the course of the morning. It started out a little bit clearer, but those clouds have moved in. They will, however, move back out again, just not until later on into the afternoon. Heavier clouds across parts of northern Manitoba could even come with some flurry activity, but plus digits no matter where you are. And in fact, there's only a couple of places that are starting out below the freezing mark up in the far northeast, but you will make those gains today, although Churchill is now showing -1, still well above what you would expect for this time of year. A little bit brighter over here in northwestern Manitoba. Norway House might be in the path of some of that mixed precipitation, but 4 degrees, again, for this time of year, these values are well beyond what is normal, pushing up to 6, 7 degrees. Here in the southeast, a fistful of degrees above freezing, maybe even a little bit warmer yet. Portage La Prairie and Morden Winkler could hit 7 degrees this afternoon. Further to the east of us, that band of precipitation from northern Manitoba cutting right down into parts of northwestern Ontario. So what might start out as a flurry or two changing to showers as your temperatures also warm well above what you would expect. Speaking of well above what we would expect, 12 degrees possibly for Friday. We will likely see some heavier clouds by the end of the week after fairly sunny conditions throughout the rest of this week. And sunshine back again for the weekend, but the mercury starts to fall and we're back below the freezing mark Sunday with some cooler temperatures expected through next week. We're taking a break right now. We'll see you with more of Your Morning Winnipeg.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
On this Remembrance Day, families around the world are gathering to pay respects to relatives who served in the Canadian military. As CTV's Craig Krause found out, one family who has arrived in Vancouver is looking to honor their grandfather's memory by reuniting him with his fellow soldiers.
Through the hustle and bustle of downtown Vancouver,
A row of banners honoring Canadian veterans are placed atop the light poles.
And there's great-grandpa Shishido.
The image of Private Masajiro Shishido, the great-grandfather of Justin Ault, is displayed outside of Hotel Vancouver, a man who served his new country in the First World War.
Part duty, part it was a way to show other Canadians at a time of a lot of racism and discrimination that, hey, we're part of this country also.
And he wasn't alone.
The 10th Battalion numbered around 50 individuals from different parts of British Columbia.
A group documented by local historian Debbie Zhang, who has been working to keep their memory alive.
When the soldiers reached France, of course, they were split up into areas where they were needed.
Zhang says they quickly proved themselves, even though there were doubts with their lack of English.
Many of whom had served in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 and 5. These were hardened veterans who knew what battle was.
Information collected after countless hours of digging, the effort making its way to Southern California.
A friend of mine said, hey, you know, this lady is giving a call out for photos of World War I veterans in uniform. And I said, I don't have a photo in uniform, and I'm looking for a photo of Grandpa in uniform.
But Zhang had what Catherine Uchida was looking for.
So you've never seen this patient before?
No, no.
Uchida and her family arriving in Vancouver from Los Angeles.
He's right on the corner, right next to the old Hudson Bay building.
Walking together along West Georgia as their grandfather's image is among the hundreds of soldiers being honored.
You wonder how many people, you know, actually look up and look and read and see all that. But who would have thought that?
The story doesn't end there. Uchida is not only here to take part in Remembrance Day, but has uncovered a family secret.
Right now, his ashes are at the Buddhist temple in Vancouver, and it's been sitting there since 1953.
Leaving Uchida looking to bury his ashes in a military cemetery where he can be laid to rest with his fellow Canadian soldiers.
I need to make this right. I'm on a quest.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
More people are now eligible to use Manitoba's Veterans License Plate, including former RCMP and peace officers. Manitoba Public Insurance, along with the province and the Royal Canadian Legion, have expanded the eligibility criteria for the special plates. To get the Veteran License Plate in the past, you had to have 3 years of honorable service with the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, former members of the military, RCMP, peace officers in special duty areas, and wartime service in the Merchant Navy or Ferry Command can get one. Those who finished basic training with the armed forces and were honorably discharged can also get a plate. The special license plate is free for eligible recipients. The Royal Canadian Legion has served as a cornerstone for local communities, and although many branches have struggled to stay open, some have seen a sudden revival. CTV's Andrew Johnson has more on what's behind the success of a BC branch.
G59, we have a bingo call.
It's a packed house for bingo night at the Maple Ridge Legion.
Do people get into it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They start screaming the numbers out.
The dozens with dabbers pouring over bingo cards are some of the more than 2,600 members of the largest and most successful Legion in the country.
It's an amazing place.
I've always felt very comfortable and very safe in here to come in all by myself. Have a glass of wine on a dinner or meet with friends.
Struggling. Bingo night, karaoke, dances, and the classic meat draw bring people in, but there's more to this Legion than entertainment. In addition to fundraising and support for veterans and their families, the Maple Ridge Legion operates 2 housing developments built on partially donated land decades ago. It provides hundreds of homes for veterans and seniors at much less than market value. The branch boasts assets in the range of $50 million.
We had some great executive members who were forward-thinking.
Very good groundwork to begin with. When I got there over 30 years ago, there was people in place that knew what they were doing.
They credit business smarts and huge community support with helping this branch weather the post-pandemic struggles that have led to some closures across the country. Membership in BC overall is now growing, and the Legion says that's also happening Canada-wide as branches diversify.
Some innovative models are starting to pop up around the country. So you have that model where you have
help available at a branch. You might also have some support services in-house.
In Maple Ridge, members are incredibly grateful for the place they count on.
Where do you go? You can't just go to a bar. You know, where do you meet people? Well, you come to the Legion.
They hope for many years to come. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Maple Ridge, BC.
And to mark Remembrance Day 2025, several ceremonies and events are taking place around the province. In Winnipeg, the Anavets Unit 283 Assiniboia is holding a Remembrance Day ceremony at 3584 Portage Avenue. Doors open at 9:30. The event at Minto Armory on St. Matthews starts at 10:30. Attendees are asked to dress for the weather. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles will mark the day at Vimy Ridge Park starting at 10:30. The biggest ceremony is at RBC Convention Centre beginning at 10:40. Several other Legion branches in Winnipeg are also holding ceremonies. Around the province, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 65 in Portage La Prairie is holding a ceremony at 11 at Stride Place. Brandon's Keystone Center's event starts at 10:40. You can find more information on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca.
And depending where you're going, you're asked to dress for the weather. So let's find out what that weather's going to be like. Right now, it's 1 degree with winds out of the west, 22 clicks. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 88%. We've got some heavier clouds that have moved in now, so not getting quite that warmth of the sun through them. Not yet anyway. It will continue to warm up. By the time 10:30, 11 rolls around, we'll have only gained a couple degrees from where we're sitting right now. So expect it to be around 2, maybe 3 degrees, with our expected high today around 5. But we're also going to get those stronger winds increasing and some heavier clouds through the morning before it clears out later today. We will see more of that sunshine, but not until the afternoon. So dress for the winds and dress for about 2-3 degrees. Now into the afternoon, like I mentioned, it's going to continue to warm up and getting even warmer yet throughout the rest of the week. By Friday, beautiful 12 degrees expected. We're talking double digits, and it continues to look good. Into the weekend, the sunshine is back again. The temperatures do start to drop off a little bit. In fact, by Sunday, we're back below the freezing mark, and more seasonal temperatures expected to continue into the start of next week. We're taking a break right now, but stick around. We'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Wrapping up this show, but first a couple of videos for you. Shepherds in Czechia have carried out an annual tradition with their flock. They drive their sheep up the mountain for winter. They also do the 4-day trip on foot through forests, fields, and villages, stopping to camp along the way. Looks like out of a storybook. Oh my goodness.
It does. Was there one on his back? Oh, it was a baby on the back. Okay. I'm like, which sheep is getting
the special
free ride?
Everyone's like, everyone else in the flock is like, what gives?
Well, the baby gets a free ride, though.
Come on. Okay, so these brave people have proven it is never too cold to go golfing. Golfers braved temperatures around -15 as they took part in the Antarctic Clock Golf Tournament. It has 12 tee positions arranged like the hours on a clock around a central hole. To keep things fair, everyone used the same style of club and brightly colored balls were used. Otherwise, I'd imagine they'd blend in. And a Chinese runner has set a new record in one of the world's most extreme endurance tests in Antarctica. The runner finished the Antarctic Ice Ultra in 22 hours, 40 minutes, and 47 seconds. Athletes battled frostbite and exposure, racing in temperatures across -15 degrees Celsius. Not for me. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and to all who served our country, many thanks.